just want it to be easy for you and me. Easy for you and me. Harder now, it gets a little bit harder now. I just want it to be easy for you and me. Easy for you and me. It gets a little bit harder now. I just want it to be easy for you and me. Easy for you and me. Harder now. It gets a little bit harder now. I just want it to be easy for you and me. Easy for you and me.
Wide for the lead into turn number 3. Coming to the line. Who's going to get it done? Green flag, we're racing.
Get your foot in. 3 wide. He got it. He's got it. He's got it.
Get there. No.
This is going to win.
Wow.
It all comes down to this here at the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It's the ModernRacingPrince.com Open Wheel Series from Indianapolis for tonight's FTF.GG Rectangle 500. 500 miles, 200 laps here in Virtual Speedway, Indiana, where at the end of it all, one driver will kiss the virtual bricks and drink the virtual milk here at one of racing's most historic racetracks. So glad to have you with us tonight. Jacob Pitts, Caleb Hoffman, and Kyle Riley here with you as we get set to go. The field is rolling around the racetrack in one of 2 pace laps here at the Brickyard. And it won't be long before this 32-car field rolls to life. They are stacked up 3 wide for the initial start of the race. So let's go through and get to our starting grid. And I'm going to load something that probably hasn't been loaded in ATVO in a long time. I don't know if this is going to work. Oh my gosh, it does. Hit the button. Yes! I had no idea this worked. Hamilton Akabueze is on pole. Alex Van de Sant in the middle. Brendan Lichtenberg to the outside in row 1. Then it's Robert Malechka, Brandon Hawken, and Philip Kraus lining up row 2. And in row 3, Daniel Falkingham, A.J. Musselman, and Jason Brophy rounding out the Fast 9, Caleb.
Defending winner of this race, Jacob Oster, going to line up in the 4th row with Ryan Hunter in the middle, Joshua Chin to his outside. Moving on to row number 5, you have Nicholas Pretzi, Nate Stewart, and Joshua Rimmer. And going on back to make up 18, Cole Freilich, Madeline Roten, and Matt Taylor.
Behind that, row number 7, inside is going to be Justin Malolo with Jaden Hopp in the middle and Ashley Kolonix on the outside. Then row number 8, Chris Wett's going to be on the inside with Art Reimer in the center and Spencer Ray outside. And then row 9, Jason Wallet, Brian Zabelski in the middle with Jamie Ritchie Price on the outside of him in row 9.
Rounding out the rest of the field, Mo Perry, Corey Vervink, Michael Deitch, and then our last row, Ryan Naraki and Robert Lowry. Lowry, a late addition, so was Naraki. We only had 31 cars set a time in qualifying. One driver dropped out and said that they would not be here tonight. But Naraki was a sponsor provisional, as was Matt Brewer. Brewer was going to miss the start of this thing. And then Lowry was a late addition. So we're ready to go here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Field making their way through the restart zone. It's the 4th annual Rectangle 500 at Indianapolis. Hamilton Akabueze will lead the field down to the green flag. We're racing at Indy.
And it did not take long for this field to get single file, at least at the front. Akabueze down into turn 1 with a pretty clear advantage over Van de Sant in second. But as soon as we get down to turn 3, once speeds are high, tires are not quite warm enough yet, they're going to be fighting a lot of dirty air for the first time, potentially in weeks. Going to be very interesting to see how these drivers start navigating that.
Instead of setting 4 fast laps, you're trying to just survive for 200 laps here at Indianapolis. It's a much different feel around the racetrack, especially with all the dirty air and in traffic. But Hamilton Akabueze doing what he did best all week long, go to the front. Here at IMS, he'll lead lap number 1 and will look to continue the work on the Go Sim Racing Triple Crown. He won the US 500 back at Michigan earlier this year. 3 wins on the season already, trying to get his 4th. And if he wins tonight, all he has to do is win at Fontana later this year, and he's got himself the Triple Crown.
And I mean, this is one of those races, you know what's on the line here in the Modern Racing Prince Open Wheel Series, and all this build-up through qualifying, the nerves are definitely there as a driver, all the formality and tradition of the 3 wide starts. And so everybody right now just take a few laps, settle in on board with Akabueze, and see the rest of the field out behind Van de Sant trying to chase him down.
Side by side, back of the top 10, Oster and Brophy. Oster will take the spot away. A.J. Musselman just up the road, and Musselman put on a really nice showing yesterday to make it into the Fast 12. Here goes Oster on the outside, going into the corner. You almost wonder if there was something set up there for Oster to make the pass and Musselman to get out of the gas, because you do not make a pass on the outside line here.
And Oster's on a mission right now. Let's think back to yesterday during qualifying. This 16 barely grazed the wall, and it cost him a lot of time in qualifying. This 16 had a real chance for the pole, trying to get up to the front and prove that this 16 could win the race today. Making a pass on the outside, lap 3, a very, very bold decision, but that just shows you how brave they're going to be. If they're doing that early, just imagine when it's lap 194.
Closer to the front, Brendan Lichtenberg is hunting down Alex Van de Sant for the 2nd position. We ride on board. There we go. With Lichtenberg, started in that 3rd spot. Here he is right behind Van de Sant. And your race leader, Akabueze, another driver that really impressed through qualifying to get himself into the top 3. You can see he has not moved from that 3rd spot to this point.
I mean, still, it is all about that survival, and it's a long race, 200 laps, 500 miles. And again, just trying to get settled in here. I mean, you remember back to last year, Jacob Oster won that race from the last row. So, I mean, you can win from anywhere in this field. You just have to have all the cards play your way with how cautions unfurl and in pitch strategy. Everything has to go right for you to win this race, but it is possible to do it from just about anywhere over the course of the next 500 miles. But nobody's had better speed than Akabueze. always has speed when we come here to Indy. Van de Sande as well. Feels like they're always up at the top. Malechka, Brophy, some of those guys as well.
Fastest lap so far belongs to this guy, Jacob Oster. 40.98, setting that in the draft. By far our fastest lap of the race. 5 laps in.
And for anybody watching, maybe they tuned into qualifying yesterday. You notice those lap times not quite as quick. Let's not forget, these cars do have a little bit more downforce in them today, trying to get through these corners in a longer run. And more importantly, trying to save the tires and navigate the dirty air, as you just mentioned, Jacob. It's a lot to manage today, and over 500 miles, we're definitely going to see people make mistakes along the way. It all comes down to how you can recover and how much track position you can hold on to when those inevitably happen.
I would argue, though, one of the hardest things about the start, or about the racing at Indianapolis, is we have a crash. Nicholas Pressey is in the wall between turns 1 and 2. And Pressey had such high hopes for this race. And he is in the wall 7 laps in his race. His quest to win the Rectangle 500 appears to be over. Meatball flag for Matt Taylor as well in the 8 car. Taylor with some damage. Looks like the suspension a little broken with him. And we talked with Pressey after qualifying yesterday. He desperately tried to get into the Fast 12, made several attempts to make it, and just could not get it to happen. Hello? Here we go. Let's take a look. He's got Cole Freilich behind him going into 1.
And Freilich drops down to the inside. They just make contact. I think it looks like Freilich comes up and tags that left rear of Pressey, and then that's where Matt Taylor gets the damage as well. Just grazes the nose of that 94, and some damage on the side pod for the 8. We'll see again.
Freilich misses the bottom entirely there. There's another half lane to his inside and just gets up into Pressey. And that it's one thing when it's your own fault that you're out of the race. It's another thing when it's in the hands of somebody else as you ride on board with Pressey, the New York City native, into the wall and done.
That's just so disappointing and so heartbreaking to be on lap 7. Your entire night comes to an end, Kyle.
You're completely right, Caleb. When we talked about it time and time again, it is such a fine line here at Indianapolis. Really, the bottom is your preferred groove, and if you're anywhere else, you're going to be in some trouble. Of course, the 94 did predict that going up on the high side, but unfortunately, Cole Freilich not quite getting down to the bottom. Almost nothing he could do in that circumstance.
Time for pit stops, though. 8 laps in, and all but 2 drivers make the call to make an early visit to the pit lane. Justin Melillo and Ryan Naraki stay out. Everybody else taking the time on the pit lane. And how about Daniel Falkingham? Quick, in and out of the box in just 4 seconds. A different strategy call for him gets him out in the 3rd spot, but first off of pit road.
It really kind of comes down to what you're thinking on this next stop, obviously with Melillo Naraki staying out completely, but Falkingham too. Some different strategy playing for the track position instead. Haven't used too much on this first set. Only 8 laps since the drop of the green flag, but can put you in a different bucket when it comes to fuel.
And those two, they've been teammates for a very, very long time. Notoriously very aggressive when it comes to pit calls and strategy. It does not shock me one bit to see this 37 and 53 stay out.
Nicholas Pressey downstairs with Caleb.
And here with Nicholas Pressey right now sitting on the pit lane. Some significant damage to that car. What happened there in turn number 1 between you and Freilich?
The dirty air was incredibly powerful at the start of the race, and I think everyone that was practicing a lot knew that. I noticed that it was very easy to pass people on the outside, so I thought to myself, maybe I could defend positions on the outside. You know, it makes sense. In principle, it would have worked, and for a while in practice it did. And, you know, I guess one of the caveats to that is you risk putting yourself in a position like that. I don't know I don't know how to feel about it. It's just, I don't know. I poured my heart out yesterday just trying to make the top 12, and now this. I've been fighting all year to have one good result in an oval, and I just can't find it because I crashed out early at Texas. I missed Michigan because my wheel broke and I had a heat stroke, so I was in a hospital anyway. And now this.
Well, we appreciate you for your time here, Nicholas, and sorry that it's come to an end here on lap number 7.
It's okay.
It's Nicholas Pressey after early crash takes him out of the Rectangle 500 here at Indianapolis. 10 laps will be complete this time by. We're ready for the restart. Justin Malillo will lead us down. Single file restarts. The restart zone is between turns 3 and 4. Pace car is already headed to the safety of pit road, as Justin Malillo will bring us back up through the gears and back to green here at Indianapolis. A very, very slow restart from second on back. Nawrocki did not get the jump. As they come down the front straightaway, he's under attack. Falkingham to the outside. He'll get by for second. Akabueze will do the same thing for third. Kick Nawrocki back to fourth. But Malillo, a former winner of the 500, is out in front by more than a second.
And I really wonder, after what we've just seen, a very early incident. This is 500 miles, like we said multiple times already. A long race to go. I'm curious if you're going to see some of these drivers be a little more cautious. This dirty air, on all accounts, has been very, very tedious, very tough to manage. And especially some of these drivers, potentially after that pit stop, a little further in the pack than they were to start this race. It could change how you drive dramatically. See the 13 here. He hasn't been in dirty air pretty much all week, so this is the first time Hamilton's had to deal with this whatsoever. Behind Falkingham, trying to run down Justin Malillo, who's still got a pretty amazing lead over second on back.
0.7 of a second the gap for Malillo over Falkingham on about 9 lap older tires compared to most of the rest of the field, except for maybe his teammate Ryan Nawrocki there in the 37. Also got to think that Falkingham maybe just fuel only on his pit stop. I have to go back and check nonetheless. Enjoying that second place spot, and Falkingham has shown signs of success this year. Caleb just hasn't been able to finish the deal and really finish where he has started or where he has run. He's still higher up in the points, but he would love nothing more than a good run or perhaps even a win here tonight at Indy.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know that he's capable of it, right? But like you said, has not been to victory lane yet this season, has a couple of top 5s to his name, but could absolutely turn this around with a Rectangle 500 win tonight. But again, you got to get there first, and we just saw what happened between Cole Fralick and Nicholas Pressey. Absolutely, you can take yourself out early on here and don't want any piece of that. So again, kind of to Kyle's point, wonder if we do see a little more apprehensiveness throughout the rest of the field, seeing what can happen here early on right now. Everybody seems to be okay, just kind of running single file. Closest gap is Akabueze to the back bumper of this rear wing of Falkingham right now as they start to compress in this top 3.
By the way, just a note on Jacob Oster. He spent a long time in the pits. So did Josh Chin, who's just up ahead of him. They're going to go around the outside of Michael Deitch, outside the top 20. Jason Wallet is next for these two cars. They were in the pits for 31 seconds or more, close to 40 seconds for Chin. So they are mired back in traffic, and they're now having to just carve their way through all this dirty air and through the slower traffic to get back up to where they were. Easier said than done right now for Oster as he jumps to the outside of the 76. Meanwhile, Daniel Falkingham takes the lead going into turn 1 on Justin Malillo.
And he might not be in the lead anymore, but I think this 53 is going to be a contender all day long. Of course, had a little bit of issues. That car wasn't quite getting all the way up to speed down the straightaways, but I think he learned a lot in qualifying. Look here, putting it to use, going back for the lead down the backstretch. I think Justin figured out a very good strategy to get this 53 car to turn through the center during qualifying, and he's putting it to good use back out in front here at Indianapolis.
He's always had success here at this racetrack in this race car. No doubt about it. From league racing to here at Indianapolis, obviously the winner of the Rectangle 500 2 years ago in a different car, but still the same style of racing. As Fockingham gets back underneath him going into turn number 1, and this is very typical of what we see here at Indianapolis. Back and forth at the front of the field. As soon as you get to the lead, the car in second gets the draft and is able to slingshot back by you.
And, you know, if you're Justin here, he's going back to the inside here in turns number 3, gets to the inside, takes the lead back from Fockingham. Sure, he would have loved to kept that padding that he had a little bit earlier in this run, but Fockingham was able to use that draft, get right back up to him, and now they are going to be swapping back and forth for the next little bit. Here comes Fockingham again to the inside, going to open the door for not only Akabueze, but Naraki's going to close back in, Alexander Van de Sant. And, I mean, when you got that many cars battling for the lead, who knows what can happen here. Off of turn number 2, it's Fockingham with about a 10th advantage over Justin Melillo, who has the draft and is going to go back down to the inside.
And Akabueze is just sitting back and enjoying it right now. Taking all the time he can, just taking notes, perhaps maybe trying a couple of things for later on in the race. He does not want to push the issue and put himself in harm's way. There's still a long way to go here at Indianapolis. Just 17 laps complete as they cross the Yard of Bricks.
Also, just to update everyone on that 8 car, Matt Taylor, you saw involved in that first caution with the 94. Not only was there aerodynamic damage to that car, also some right front suspension damage. Matt Taylor did make it back out onto the track, but is 6 laps down currently. Hoping for some attrition to get some track position as this race progresses. Another big move down into turn 3 here. I forget everything we said about it, being cautious there, Caleb, because they are going for it, especially towards the back of the pack. We saw it earlier. Josh Chittin, the 16 Jacob Oster, making some pretty daring moves. Justin doing the same with Fockingham up here for the lead. I think there's a power play going on here. Everybody went into this race knowing how fast that 13 was. And yeah, he might be laying in the weeds a little bit, maybe saving some fuel back there in third. But right now, some of these drivers might be leading, and they might not have really thought they would have a chance to do this, at least this early in the race. Trying to get every spot for what it's worth. We talk about it so much, the dirty area. It can be so hard to pass here at Indianapolis. Every spot crucial to your success. And I think that's why you're seeing these drivers fight so hard despite so many laps to go.
Back to the point goes Melillo. Again, Hamilton Akabueze just looking back and relaxing here at Indy. 19 laps complete. You can see the run Fockingham gets. He'll drive it to the inside. He'll go for the lead again.
And again, with just so many cars in this group, I mean, you're going to see him trade positions like this back and forth. I wouldn't be shocked. It's really easy to build that run in the second spot, so I wouldn't be shocked to see a more aggressive move out of Akabueze to try to get to that second place position here at some point. Melillo back down to the inside, takes it away from Fockingham. Then, I mean, even throughout the field, seeing a lot of this back and forth, swip swapping, you know, even more towards the 15th to 20th spots.
Corey Vervink was just under attack, rather just past Ashley Kolonix. That's for 17th. Too far behind, but Josh Chin and Jacob Oster are right there as well. They have finally cracked the top 20 again. It's taken them 12 laps to really only pick up around half a dozen spots. It's going to be a long day for these two trying to work their way from the back toward the front.
And those two, don't forget, back in Michigan a few weeks ago, 2 of the most aggressive drivers in that race, they were up front all day long until a very late crash. It wouldn't shock me if they do find their way up here, but they do have to be careful. And I think that's why you're seeing, trying to pick off one car at a time there, slowly, methodically making their way up to the front. As you see yet another pass for the lead down to turn 1. Daniel Fockingham, a big move, and it looks like the 13's trying to follow him through. Not quite able to get there.
Melillo able to jump right down to the inside, cut in front of that 13, and make sure that he was able to hang on to that second spot. But we'll see if Akabueze decides he wants to make a push for second. Nope. Instead, Melillo takes the draft to the back rear wing of the 39, hops to the inside and retakes the lead. But Akabueze is definitely now in this conversation for the top spot after just riding around a little bit. Now, all right, time to go.
And you definitely have to weigh the risk versus the reward. I mean, if you are to follow the leader, I mean, it's a daring move on your own to try to attempt to pass right there. But to follow the leader in, again, you're dealing with potential trouble there. So again, I wouldn't be surprised either way if Akabueze does decide to go for it here, has an opportunity with Melillo back down to the inside, but just know that that could end in disaster for you. So I also wouldn't be surprised to see him let these guys swap it out, and especially burn a little more fuel.
One thing I'm seeing, gentlemen, a lot of tire fall off already. These tires have already given up about 0.7 of a second since the start of this run. Another very warm day here in Indianapolis. That's going to be the theme all day long, I think. It's going to be about how long you can keep that car under you. We even saw it during qualifying, laps 3 and 4. Some of these cars really, really struggling, losing nearly 0.2 of a second in just a 4-lap span. It's going to be like that, and it's going to be challenging for all of these drivers, especially those back there in dirty air. One of which, that 96 car, Van de Sant, up front in second place that entire first run before the caution. Now that he's been back mired in 5th, having a little bit more of a challenge with that dirty air. I've seen that 96 get very, very close to the wall on corner exits many times, especially right here off of turn 4. Gonna have to be careful all race long.
See the weather in the bottom right. Track temp 119 degrees. It's actually colder. We have a crash. Cole Freilich and Michael Deitch off turn 4. The caution's out for the second time here at Indianapolis. Another multi-car crash, this time on the exit of 4. And it brings us under the caution for the second time in 25 laps. This time Freilich and Deitch. And you can see how far apart these two were down the back straightaway. This would have been right around the 25th position or so. So Freilich well up the racetrack. Whoa! It's like he had a problem or something way up the hill, and that may have broken the... Oh, wow!
What a hit!
Nowhere for Deitch to go.
And that's been the area people have had trouble all week long. Turns 3 and 4, turn 4 in particular, very, very treacherous. The moment that car had any bit of suspension damage, there was just nothing he could do to save it. And unfortunately, Cole Freilich taking a humongous impact, Michael Deitch getting collected. I don't think either of these cars are going to be able to continue at any point.
Yeah, I think that's race over for both of them here. More time from high above. Watch. This gets it up into the wall, and then that definitely breaks the toe link on the right side. And just couldn't corral it anymore. And I mean, right into Michael Deitch's lap. Nowhere for him to go.
And Cole held on for as long as possible, but
yeah.
We talked about it, even with full downforce, no damage whatsoever. These corners are very, very easy to get out of line. The moment it jumped free on him, nothing he could do. And just an absolutely awful impact.
Oops.
We've seen a lot of those, unfortunately, in turn 4 this week.
We're under our second caution flag of the day here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Rectangle 500. Justin Melillo is your race leader, and it looks like he's going to bring every soul down onto pit lane. This leaves us, by the way, with 28 cars on the lead lap. The car you see staying out, flying by, is Matt Taylor. He's getting a lap back. There is one driver that chose to stay out. That is Chris Wetz. So he will take the lead of the race. Meanwhile, pit road, a busy place. Justin Melillo down and away. Somebody overshot their box. It was Brendan Hawken that had to back up. Falkingham is out of the box. He has taken tires, and he is going to, I think, win the race off of pit road, and then Akabueze. No, Akabueze second. And then Melillo. We'll reset the field. We'll have a restart when we come back here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Chris Wetz leading the Rectangle 500. Back here at Indianapolis, 27 laps are complete. Chris Wetz leads us back for the restart. Here in the Rectangle 500, Justin Melillo did not get going. He gets under attack from Van de Sant. Here comes his teammate Ryan Nalraki to the inside. These restarts, quite different from what we do at other racetracks, and it's caught some people asleep at the wheel. Look at Jacob Oster trying to go 3 wide to the outside between Nate Stewart and Josh Rimmer. He stays to the inside and crash! Up into the catch fence goes Rimmer! Nate Stewart involved. Jaden Hopp. Nate Stewart on his roof. And a huge crash in turn 1 of the restart. Brings the caution right back out.
My goodness, and that's the worst possible time for that kind of a thing to happen. This entire field all grouped up. 3 cars undoubtedly done for the day after a humongous impact off turn 1.
From high above, Oster made the right decision to back out of it. Watch the blue car, the 29 on the bottom. Rimmer gets down, and just with the dirty air, cold tires, washes up the racetrack. He gets launched. Corey Vervinkt, I believe, is also involved in that. Nowhere for Jaden Hopp to go. For Stewart, a wild ride up on the roll bar. I mean, wow.
And I mean, really similar to what we saw in that first caution. I mean, I think, again, Rimmer just has a crazy amount of understeer there and happens right on a restart when everybody's packed up and everybody just piles in. Jaden Hopp with a good bit of damage as well will go on board here. Wild ride for car 29. Just touches the tires into the cash fence.
It wasn't bad, all things considered, for Rimmer. You see the left front wheels dislocated on that car. He started to roll it, but eventually just towed it. All 3 cars towed it to the pit lane, and that's where they sit. The junkyard continuing to grow here on the front stretch here at Indianapolis. Nate Stewart, Rimmer, and Jaden Hopp all with meatball flags. And all are about to go a second lap down. So Chris Wetz is still your leader. You see the damage to the nose of Corey Vervinkt. Robert Malechka and Jacob Oster will come down onto the pit lane, as well as some others. A lot of good race cars torn up in this crash.
And as my good friend Tristan loves to point out, catch fence doing its job there. Car bounced right back off, right back down to earth. All 4 of these cars, though, even if they're able to get back out there, definitely more damage than that 8 car of Matt Taylor was. You see passing the field there, I believe. So it's looking like, at minimum, they might lose at least 6 laps, if any of them could even get out there, but I'm not too optimistic, at least for that car of Nate Stewart and potentially the 29 of Josh Rimmer.
Yeah, Matt Taylor only had a little bit of suspension damage, and that was it. Once they got the suspension taken care of, I think they were okay. It wasn't like the wheel was completely snapped off the car. He was at least able to drive it around the racetrack, even if it was crabbing a bit. For guys like Stewart, Rimmer, and Hopp, a lot of bodywork damage, nose cones, etc. Wheels destroyed, ripped off the race car. Going to be a lot more work and potentially some day-ending damage for those 3. And so we'll do one more pace lap at least before getting back under the green flag. And we talked about the start of the race being hectic. And I mentioned as they were going into turn 1 that these restarts have been a little tricky as well, with drivers maybe not being on it, ready to go as soon as the race leader at the front of the field goes. And that can lead to stack-ups. And with the draft as powerful as it is going down the front straightaway, it can get pretty crazy getting down into turn 1.
And I mean, it goes back to what makes this the greatest race in the world, right? Is that these cars, these drivers are truly on edge every single corner of every single lap. And we see it on these restarts. We've seen it under green flag conditions right now with a lot of close calls. But I mean, again, you can lose this race in so many different ways, whether it be, strategy gone wrong or a mistake on pit road or wrecks like we've seen 3 of so far already here through 30 laps here. But I mean, again, everything just has to go exactly to plan and exactly right for you to have a shot to win this race, like we were saying earlier. And that's absolutely been demonstrated throughout 30 laps. Still have 170 laps to go. I mean, we're not even a quarter of the way through it. And how many cars are, on pit road right now with extreme race-ending damage?
We have 25 cars left on the lead lap. 26 on the racetrack. Matt Taylor, who is 4 laps down. If we keep this up, though, Taylor's eventually going to get back onto the lead lap in this deal, as he keeps getting the wave around each caution. So Matt Taylor could pick up some spots and some points out of this deal. We look at our points on the season, and you can see Matt Taylor sitting in the 7th spot. Jacob Oster, your championship leader. Malechka and Brophy tied for 2nd. Falkingham and Ryan Hunter tied for 4th. Then Akabueze in 6th. Of course, Hamilton's missed a race or 2 this year, and with the 3 wins, that's helped put him into this 6th place. As we are past the halfway point in the season, and after tonight, just 5 races to go. Here is the restart. Chris Wetz back on the gas. Daniel Falkingham taking it easy. Akabueze's there. Melillo and Ryan Hunter. No, I know who you are. Ryan Araki side by side, but here comes Lichtenberg to the outside. Brophy is there as well as the field's back in 1.
And Jacob, I had my eye on that 53. On that last restart, remember, didn't quite get up to speed as quick as the cars around him. I was hearing some reports potentially having similar issues to qualifying in regard to that throttle, not quite picking up all the way. Looks like that's been remedied in that 53, able to get up to speed, at least for now.
Here comes Brophy to the inside of Naraki. Meanwhile, at the front, new leader, Daniel Falkingham to the bottom into 3. Gets by Chris Wetz. Hamilton Akabueze's in the tire tracks, not ready to make the move yet. Remember, Wetz did not pit 2 cautions ago when everybody else came onto pit road, but here comes that 71 back to the inside for the lead again.
Gets it there from Falkingham. Hamilton Akabueze right there in the tire tracks. Alexander Van de Sant in this group as well. All 4 of them somewhat under a blanket right now. Falkingham going to have a chance to build a run down the backstretch once again and go for the lead going down into turn 3. See if he can complete it by the time they hit the short chute. Yes, he can. Chris Wetz falls back to 2nd. And again, very similar to what we saw out of Falkingham and Melillo prior to that caution on lap 24.
Back to getting some green flag laps in here at Indianapolis after the quick back-to-back yellows. 3 cautions in the first 34 laps of this event. Maybe could see ourselves in a bit of a green flag run. Falkingham holding on to the lead. Wetz trying to stay in the tire tracks, but it just seems like that car's not quite gripping into the racetrack as much on those older tires compared to the freshies around him. Akabueze starting to set up a move, perhaps for that 2nd spot, and don't look now, Alex Van de Sant in the mix there in that 96.
And it'd be so easy, especially being up there, having track position you might not have had all day long in Chris Wetz's case. It's so easy to give yourself a false sense of security and think you can do a lot of the same things the cars around you can. This 71 is going to be fighting grip entirely this run, and until the next pit stop, pretty much going to be holding on. We saw a lot of fall off in that last run. I was talking about it before the caution. 0.7 of a second. Of course, clean air going to help balance that out a little bit for that 71, but very, very tough thing to do. We saw earlier the 53 who were riding on board with able to hang on, as well as Ryan Naraki, who's still in 7th. So track position turns out might be the biggest variable
Look
today.
At the
oh
run.
My gosh!
Melillo, as they were checking up in front of him, he about ran into the back of Van de Sant going into 1. That's why I slid back to him. Van de Sant will hold on to the outside, but the checkup in line with Falkingham and Melillo said, you know what? Heck with it. I'm going to the inside. I want spots. He's going to bring Lichtenberg with him, and here comes Naraki sending it in for 6th.
Mason Brophy trying to make a move on the high side there. Thought better of it. We've seen that go wrong for a couple people already today. Speaking of making moves on the high side, take a look at back there. That's the 16. Jacob Oster already carving his way back to the front on somewhat newer tires, about a lap or so. It might not seem like much, but any grip is grip you'd like to have, and he's making the absolute best of it. Another pass on the high side. How many times can he get away with this? He's going to go for another one.
Yep, got to do it again on Malechka, and he'll make it work. For some of the drivers that stopped out of this most recent caution, taking just fuel only, not taking any tires on that trip down to the pit lane. Melillo and Van de Sant side by side again. And look how packed up we are here at the front of the field. We had been strung out. Now it's 7 cars within a second of the race leader as we have trouble. Mo Perry's around in turn 2. On the apron, single car, we stay green. No meatball flag for that 054. So perhaps just a slide, but now taking the road course. And really just cutting turn 2. Now to get back up to speed, let's take a look and see what happened. He was toward the back of the field to begin with here. Behind Corey Vervink, so just outside the top 20.
There.
Ooh.
Oh, up into the wall.
Yeah, I'm surprised he doesn't have a meatball flag after that contact with the outside wall. Did a great job keeping it out of the inside wall. But Mo Perry now 25th, well behind the rest of the field. He's going into 1. Here's Falkingham coming out of 3.
Also, to update on Cody Vervink from that 12, got some of that damage fixed. In fact, most of the damage. Stayed on the lead lap. The only of those 4 cars involved in the most recent caution stay out there and still be competitive.
Vervink keeps on riding it out. 21st right now, just behind. Oh, he almost got the wall, just behind Jamie Ritchie Price. And that monstrosity of a paint scheme. But we showed enough in qualifying, I think. Here he goes to the inside. Vervink, the Indiana native at his home racetrack, will make the pass. Put him back up into the top 20. Nice rebound after the damage from the last crash. 40 laps complete.
And when it's all said and done, that 12 might pass more cars than anybody here today. Already started towards the back half of the pack, made a lot of track position up on these first 2 runs, doing the exact same thing again after the damage has been repaired. That's going to be crucial experience later in the race when things really get tough. Wow, as we see a moment back there, a couple cars get very, very loose off turn 2. Yeah. It's so interesting to me. In qualifying, 3 and 4 seem to be the problem area, but today, turns 1 and 2, that seems to be what's catching these drivers off guard. More of our incidents there than anywhere else.
Again, look at our weather. You can see the wind is different as well compared to what we were dealing with before. The wind actually hanging tough around the racetrack. Where really we hadn't had much wind to talk about through qualifying. It was pretty neutral out there. Now we have the wind. It's shifting. It's changing. The air temp is shifting. The time is advancing in sim. So a lot of different components as here comes Jason Brophy inside P4 on Alex Van de Sant. His march to the front continues. He started 9th, fell back early on some pit stops, and here he is in the thick of things, trying to pick up his first Rectangle 500 win at Indianapolis.
And we talked about how close that points battle was earlier as we see another move down into turn 1 on Hamilton Akabueze. But I think this 44, Jason Brophy, the intensity's picking up because looking in his mirror, there comes the 16, our point leader, chasing him down 1 spot at a time. I think this 44 is trying to get up there and maintain what any point advantage he can pick up today as we see a huge run down the backstretch. Look at this slingshot down to the bottom. He might get them both, and he will. Down into turn 3 from 3rd to 1st. Jason Brophy takes the lead at Indianapolis. My goodness, what runs they get down these straightaways.
You also have to wonder how much of that is Falkingham and Wetz just trying to save fuel. Brophy pitted the same lap as Falkingham, so he doesn't necessarily have a fuel advantage as here comes Falkingham back to the inside for the lead. So perhaps now that Brophy's at least in the conversation, all right, I'll start to save a little fuel as here comes Oster, who pitted under that last caution flag, gets a little high off of 2. Fighting for 5th with Van de Sant, Melillo in the mix as well. Oster now up into the top 5. He has really been on a journey from the back to the front multiple times, and here he is in 5th.
No kidding, Jacob. I think he and Brandon Hawken have been the 2 most aggressive drivers when it comes to using that second lane. I've seen them both about 2.5 grooves up. I didn't know that was possible here at Indianapolis, but that just shows you how talented they both are. Making moves up there, even more impossible than that. They're on a mission to get to the front. Brandon Hawken doing pretty good right now in 14th, and Jacob Oster, we talked about it before, climbing through this field. So far, he's been a man on a mission up in P5, trying to run down those 4 up ahead. Ooh, Justin makes a daring move to the inside.
Yeah, he jumped to that inside line. Elevator come crashing down. Can't pick up the spot.
It's challenging. Thought Akabueze was going to think about it. Falkingham will go here on Brophy. Complete that pass. Chris Wetz right there in third to hopefully try to inch in and not let the 44 get away from him down the backstretch. But again, just so much momentum for this 44 and will make it hard. Big run coming, though, from the 71 on Falkingham. Can't do anything with it, though.
And I'll be honest, if you run from third place on back, I'm not sure you want to make the move right now. Just ride as here comes Wetz. Remember, he did not pit under the last 2 cautions, so he's off cycle from everybody else. He comes to pit road. He is the only one, though, that is on a different strategy right now. Everybody else is at least in the ballpark. A couple of drivers did stop to top off on that last caution, including Jacob Oster, who sits in 4th. Everybody else further back in traffic, Malechka, Chin, etc. But that breaks up the party here a little bit at the front of the field and gets us a little more spread out outside of the top 2.
And give a call to Chris Wetz on that tire management. We talked about the fall off in that first long run we had. This time, that 71 not only able to manage track position, the lap times only really fell off to a 41.6. If you can keep that tire wear going all day and maybe catches a lucky caution that helps this strategy play out, that's going to be a tough car to beat. Another move down at turn 1. They're going to fight it. Jason Brophy, I thought he was going to hang up on the top there. They do get single file, thankfully. So a long way to go, of course. Coming up on the completion of lap 48 when they get to the line this time by. I think we're going to see, as this run progresses, a lot of these drivers go into full fuel safe mode, especially now that things have kind of calmed down a bit. You see there behind a bit more gap between these cars. It's a lot easier to save fuel when there's actually space to do it. This entire run, essentially up until now, these cars right on top of one another. If you lift for a second too long, that's all it takes for contact to happen.
Him again to the inside as they keep trading back and forth for the lead, saving fuel. Just, I don't want to say playing around, but just doing what you do here at Indianapolis to log laps and get to the end.
And interested to see here in the next couple of laps, Chris Wetz has rejoined and obviously does not have help of the draft right now. So Brophy and Falkingham going to continue to close in on Wetz. You can see just exiting turn number 4 coming down the front straightaway here. That'll give the leader, whenever they catch him, a good little boost.
You can see him. that pixel there way off to the right-hand side.
Yeah, that's great work by the FTF Blimp team.
See if maybe we can... okay, yeah, yep, you had him for a moment. There you go. You can see the leaders for half a second.
But one thing's for certain, if they can run down that 71, I think they're going to ride right behind Chris Wetz. That's a great opportunity to save fuel as the leader. Right now, we've seen that 39 and 44 slingshot one another. Not only are you burning more fuel doing that, but once you're in the lead, of course, hitting all that air with the front of your car, if they can ride behind that 71, it could pay big dividends, especially considering the 13 and 16 have been right behind, certainly saving fuel, not being super aggressive, trying to get up to the front. They might have a bit of a fuel advantage right now over both of those leaders.
50 laps in the books. We are a quarter of the way home here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Rectangle 500. Daniel Falkingham is currently your race leader. Him and Jason Brophy have been going back and forth for the last 10 laps or so. At the front, we've had 3 cautions so far. 25 cars are still on the lead lap of the 32 that started the race. Been a race of attrition so far, but this has been our longest green flag run of the night, 20 laps or so.
Him and Brophy trading once again. and really calm throughout the rest of the field. I mean, we've seen, again, the swapping back and forth between Falkingham and Brophy up here for the lead, but really throughout the field, everybody's content with riding around and goes, I think, hand in hand with, we're talking about with fuel strategy right now and wanting to save just as much as possible.
Also, to update everybody on Mo Perry, the 054, that 054 still on the lead lap, still has any potential damage that car might have sustained from hitting the wall, but to still be out there on the lead lap hoping for a caution after significant wall impacts like that, that's exactly the best case scenario you could hope for in those situations. Definitely pulling for a yellow, though, or at the very least for that 71 to get up there for some drafting help.
Another one of our Indiana natives in the field. Rough go of it so far from Mo the Missile. Further back, this is 12th. Hawken and Wallet. Hawken taking that spot away.
And this is where it turns from a race of attrition to a chess match. All these drivers, it's a balancing act. You have to save fuel, you have to save tires, but you also don't want to lose that track position. We've had 3 drivers get significant track position via pit strategy and be able to hold on to it. So even if you save fuel and tires, if you lose 10, 15 spots, you're probably not going to make that back up. It's all about getting that sweet spot where you don't lose too much, but you have something to give back at the end of the run. Of course, we are fast approaching pit stops here. As you see the 76 up on the high side again, able to hold on against Zemlechkavolim. It is. That is a tough thing to do. Defending on the high side at Indianapolis, nearly impossible. He's going to do just that.
Now Rocky to the pit lane. Our first scheduled stop of the leaders on the same strategy. Lechka in 1, not quite able to get by. Wallet holding tough there on the outside. Oh, just couldn't quite clear him. Now he will down the backstretch.
We'll have a run. Oh, one car in the wall on the back straightaway. Robert Lowry.
I was looking at that, trying to figure out, okay, where is he on the racetrack at that speed? He tows it. Let's get a replay and see what happened. Would have been off turn 2. He was well in the back of the pack.
And this was one of the last cars to be added to this grid. Maybe a little less practice than the rest of the field. You're going to see through turn 1, goes all the way up to that outside wall. Doesn't make any contact there. Down into 2, doesn't make it to the bottom, though. Missed that white line. Hard contact with the outside wall. And that's going to be day done for that team, most likely.
Had to tow it to pit road with the meatball flag. You're right. I think it's pretty much going to be day ender for Robert Lowry.
However, another spot for Matt Taylor on the comeback trail from that earlier incident.
Yeah.
It might be possible after all. There's a chance this A car is able to finish in the lead lap if things keep trending this way.
Needs a couple more cautions, though.
Ooh, the 96 kissed the wall there off turn 2. I was talking about it earlier, being so aggressive on corner exit. And Van de Sande had such speed. He definitely has been pushing a little bit, probably trying to pick up that track position. Riding right behind the 16 of Oster here. Got a little too close there off turn 2, though. Doesn't appear to be damaged, but you only get away with that so many times here at Indianapolis before things go catastrophically wrong. Back to the outside there in turn 1. Wow, gonna make an aggressive move. Able to make it work.
Oster slipped in 1, and he had to get out of the gas, and Van de Sande had to get out of the gas. But they were both able to make it work, and that's 2 of the best right there, as Mo Perry is a meatball flag. So he's going to have to come to pit road. He'll do so here. Let's go back and see if we can take a look and see what happened to the 054. And just a blown tire because he hit the wall. Ooh. Broke the right front.
Despite the fact Mo Perry able to stay on the lead lap previously after that first incident, this one definitely not going to be the same. Probably going to have some significant damage to repair. You see it on your screen now. Heartbreak. Still very early in this race. Not what any of these drivers want to see happen to them.
It's not even in the car right now. Now he is.
And I mean, again, we're getting to see it over the course of this run, but the longest run that we've had today, you will just kind of have the field whittle themselves down. You know, haven't seen any of the big loud crashes that we've had that brought out the first 3 yellows, but I mean, yeah, people will overstep those boundaries, and again, making those mistakes and not is what separates the people who are out and the people who are going to be in contention for the win here in just over 150 laps. So again, everybody up at the front has done a great job, but even then, up inside the top 5, you can see him starting to skirt with that a little bit. Here comes Brophy onto the pit lane. Really aggressive entry, but gets that car slowed down. And flag pit stops here at the front of the field.
Pit speed 60 miles an hour down this long front straightaway, and it feels like you are crawling as the field goes rocketing by at 220 plus.
And Caleb, we talked about it earlier. These are the consequences of being so aggressive, trying to lead all of those laps. It would not shock me if the next one in is this 39 of Daniel Falkingham. Compare that to the 13 Akabueze, Alexander Van de Sant, and a 96 behind, and even that 16 of Jacob Oster, able to save a lot more fuel being in the draft the entirety of that run. Let's see how long it takes for that 39 to dive onto the pit road as well. Not going to come now.
Do it. Yep, not this time around.
Looks like AJ Musselman might have dove onto pit road this time, so the window definitely open. We're going to see these cars start peeling off one at a time. As long as you can stay out, it's probably beneficial, because even if you don't have to worry about actually having enough fuel to make it to the finish, and you can make that last pit stop any quicker, potentially even if you get a caution slightly before that, you can jump several positions in the pit road. We just saw how close it was the last time the field went down. They were nearly 4 wide exiting the pits. If you save a half second, that could be the difference between finishing top 5 and finishing outside the top 20.
Their first round of green flag pit stops, and here comes Daniel Falkingham. Another race leader onto pit road. Justin Malillo will follow. Lock the tires up there from Daniel. Brandon Hawken coming in as well. And for the first time tonight, Hamilton Akabueze will take the lead of the Rectangle 500. Been a minute.
And again, I'm interested to see, I mean, you do have the added flexibility. Again, he has just been sitting in the draft. But also, I mean, if you pit right now, you get the advantage of being on pit road less, because you've burned less fuel, so therefore you're not going to have to sit in the box as long. The multitude of options here available. One car ducking down, it's Lichtenberg. Polonix will come with him, as will Wallet.
And some of these drivers that elected the pit early were fortunate enough, they've come out in a bit of a pack, so they're going to be drafting with one another. Daniel Falkingham, Jason Brophy, Chris Wetz, and Ryan Naraki all in a group where they're going to have some aerodynamic advantage. Let's say, hypothetically, this 13, the 96, or the 16 end up not quite getting in drafting range. They're going to have an uphill battle even catching this group, despite the fact they do have a fuel advantage. Another time off turn 4. Who decides to pit this time, if anyone? The top 4 say no.
Oh, this ought to be good right here. That's Brandon Hawken peeking to the inside of Alex Van de Sant. Hawken, who had already stopped.
And that's bold. As the car in 20th place to go in between first and second here, but he'll get his lap back the hard way. Clear of Akabueze. And back on the lead lap for the 099 of Brandon Hawken. You see here for Akabueze, it will come down.
As well, Van de Sant and Oster. This will give Robert Malechka the race lead. Now, he stayed out, he pitted under the most recent caution, so he can go a little bit further. Now, Jacob Oster is in that same boat, but I think he thinks, you know what, I better pit with the rest of the leaders just so I don't get too off cycle. We always know that Malechka's willing to do whatever it takes, though. Always willing to embrace that different strategy.
Let's So far, just 3 holdouts on payroll. Robert Malechka, your leader, Philip Kraus, and Josh Chin, the 3 remaining that still need to pit before things cycle out completely. With every lap they go, it's even more of an advantage for them, at least in regards to fuel, and they're going to stay out again, at least 2 of them. All 3 of them actually like to stay out. Never mind, I misspoke. Josh Chin pulling in this time. Like you mentioned, might not want to lose contact with that lead pack. And for that 91, pardon me, you're still going to be getting some slipstream from the car ahead. That could even help further your fuel run even more. A little late in the game to be saving fuel now, but if you can even get 1 more lap, even a half lap, it'll make this pit stop quicker. And that might be what keeps any of these cars up in that drafting range. To the pits they go.
Kraus will follow, so our top 2 make the call to come to pit road. Here on lap 67. Malechka will lead another lap in about 19 seconds. Jason Brophy and Daniel Falkingham will come around and retake the top spot here in the Rectangle 500.
And really had to watch everybody blend together here from these different stops. You can see Brophy back down to the inside for the lead, but they had to figure it out. Biggest loser out of it was Ryan Naraki. Came down and really had to get out of the throttle in 3 and 4 last time by to accommodate both Van de Sant and Lichtenberg.
Oh, wrecked it again. What
Not
happened?
the day he was looking for at all.
This is just like the Indy Road Course.
Ooh, and when you're that high up, nothing you can do.
Yeah, that's
The exact
not good.
same way he wrecked the first time.
Pretty much. Well, we'll get some more work done on it. How many right front suspension pieces do you think they have in that 054 pit box that are still together and not broken?
They're going to have to refurbish a left front, Jacob.
Daniel Falkingham taking the lead away from Jason Brophy. 69 laps complete this time by in the 4th Rectangle 500 here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We'll step aside. We'll be back right after this. Our first round of green flag pit stops complete here at IMS. Back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Rectangle 500, 74 laps complete this time by. We turn to Chris Wetz, who while we were away, bounced it off the fence. Was in the 7th position. Here's a look.
Exactly what we've seen. Just missed the bottom, tags the wall, makes significant contact with this inside, loses part of the front wing, and then left front suspension completely destroyed on that race car. So off track right now, and again looks to be terminal damage for car number 71, who had led laps prior on some pitch strategy, and again hard contact going to do him in.
And what has happened to Corey Vervinkt here? He has a meatball flag. This is just moments ago. Oh, he got it too high. He's brought it now to pit road. Well, the Indiana native now going to need some work done on the right side of his machine. Meanwhile, at the front, still trading the lead between Jason Brophy and Daniel Falkingham. Well past the quarter-way mark here at Indy.
Back on the 71 for a moment. We talked about it earlier. Some of the oldest tires out of anybody in the field. Still trying to keep up with those leaders. It is so easy to try to think you can do the exact same thing as the cars around you. Sometimes you can't keep track of exactly how far that right front is pushing, and you saw it catch Chris Wetz out there. Tremendous damage to that 71. Yet another car added to the list of people with race-ending damage. I do think the 12 of Vervinkt is going to be able to fix that and get back out there, but we'll be several laps down most likely when it's all said and done.
He is out of the car for now. We'll see if he decides to get back in it, or if he decides, you know what, it's better to park it.
And still swapping this lead back and forth. Closest battle really on track right now. I mean, Jamie Ritchie Price and Madeline Roten are side by side, but that's for 20th, way on back. So in terms of battles right now, again, everybody really just taking it easy right now on the flip side of our green flag pit stops. More swip swapping. Again, this is deeper in the pack.
And think back to our race at Michigan a few weeks back. For those who might not know what's going on exactly when it comes to the slipstreaming you're seeing, the top two leaders swapping back and forth, that is by design. At a track like this, where aerodynamics and draft are so important in a premium, they're working together essentially not only just to save fuel, but to also pull ahead of the pack. You see that distance between the top 5 and the rest of the field starting to grow, almost a full second right now between Lichtenberg and Malello, actually, between 6th and 7th. If they work together nicely up front and have a common goal to keep themselves up there, they can absolutely make this a race amongst themselves, especially if this race ends up going green all the way. That being said, though, with as many cars as we've seen hit that outside wall and break the right front suspension, I don't know if that's going to happen.
I mean, the other part of that too, Kyle, is them swapping the lead back and forth and just slingshotting one another. Does give them a good buffer back to Hamilton Akabueze. They've got that gap up to 4/10, but definitely protects those two cars as well from being jumped by more cars back in line. We saw what happened earlier, you know, when they checked up for just a second, and then we had 5-6 cars kind of in that conversation for the lead. So again, if you're Brophy and Falkingham, you want as much breathing room as possible, not only saving fuel, but propelling yourself further than the rest of this pack.
On a similar note, two cars to keep an eye out for. The 91, Robert Malechka in P9 right now. Philip Kraus behind that in 10th. These are two of the last cars to come down pit road. They've got the best tires in the field right now. Can they use that to run these leaders down? Right now, they're making marginal gains on the leaders, even in that dirty air. If they can get around Musselman and Malello, it wouldn't shock me if those two are able to actually track down this lead pack, making tremendous lap time right now. And with still over half the race to go, don't really have to get up there necessarily just yet, but if, like I was saying, if you wait too long, you could find yourself outside of the draft entirely. Just look at the gap that's forming up ahead. You can't get caught out by that, because if this race does go green by chance, it's going to be impossible to make that up without some lucky things happening to you.
13 laps, now 14 laps since Malechka and Kraus were last on pit road. Their lap times have essentially fallen off and evened out with everybody else. So that tire advantage you talk about has slipped away in a hurry for the drivers that waited the longest to come onto pit road. In fact, Malechka's last lap time is 10th and a half slower than the race leaders, so we're trading back and forth.
Jacob, that's exactly why you're seeing them swap positions so aggressively. Not only do they want to lead this race, of course, as you're going to see Falkingham make yet another move down from the bottom into turn 1 here. But with every time you do this, you pull that group of cars up. You see the 13. Akabueze has been able to run them down, now very much in this conversation as well. But now they've started to gap the 96 of Alexander Van de Sant. If you can keep as few cars up front as possible, make this a race amongst 3 cars, that's a 33.3% chance of you winning this race. And my math isn't stout, but I know that's better than what it would be if you had all 33 all up there together.
I mean, right now they're doing a fantastic job at building this cushion. Van de Sant just struggling to hold on there, about half a second back. And he's got heavy hitters with him back there as well. I mean, Lichtenberg, who's had speed, Oster in this group, Malillo, a former winner of this race, who's about a second back from everybody else. So, again, this top 3 doing a fantastic job, and specifically Brophy and Falkingham with this slingshot. Again, I mean, it is faster, and that's evidenced by cars further on back without as much of this drafting help, right? Who are really just struggling to keep touch with the rest of the field.
Also, aside from the leaders, Caleb, you pointed it out earlier. Right now, one of the best battles on track is for P20. Madeline Roten, Jamie Ritchie-Price. It has been an absolute brawl for P20. And not only have they been fighting for that position, they're also the last 2 cars on the lead lap right now. They're about a half straightaway, maybe 3/4 of a straightaway ahead of these leaders. So pretty soon, this battle's going to be merged with the lead pack, and I'm very curious to see if they can keep up. Because if they can, especially if they're able to hang on to maybe 3rd or 4th right behind the 13 or 96, that is going to dramatically change the aerodynamic capabilities of everyone else in that lead pack. You're going to start seeing the 13, the 96, maybe even the 16 and 10 pull up there and get big runs themselves, and that's going to change the entire course of the rest of this race if they're able to make that work. And these two have been going at it, I think, every lap. They've been swapping about as much as the leaders. You're going to see the 14 running around the high side here, getting as much clean air on the nose as possible. Ryan Naraki headed down to the pit.
He's one of the first cars that pitted on this last cycle. 30 laps, and he's back on the pit lane. He makes the call. And likely going to lose a lap here before getting it back up to speed.
And Jacob, at 30 laps a run, right now, if this were to go green, that's going to give Ryan Naraki a 6-lap buffer as it stands right now. 6 laps to play with. Right now, it's potentially running that thing all the way dry, but at some point, it might benefit him to short pit, get a little bit fresher tires on that car sooner, because at the end of the day, running down that track position is going to be very, very tough, even if you have enough fuel on board. You see, they're going to go a lap down right now, and still be somewhat in close proximity to these leaders, though. Could potentially get that lap back naturally just by passing everyone. And if you can do that and get a caution, he's right back in the game.
And that's only if we stay green the whole way. If we get a caution, that will shake everything up.
Ooh, the 39 almost just cost one right there.
Oh, man.
Way further up than he was bargaining for. Daniel Falkingham, a great job saving it. We've seen that go wrong for countless drivers already tonight. This might be the first time somebody's come back and not hit the wall from doing so.
There was another close call up inside the top 5 as well, right with the rejoin of Ryan Naraki, but Jacob Oster was past the 37. Oster went down to the inside, went almost too low, got really tight and almost came up and made contact with Naraki. That would have been absolutely massive, but Oster was able to hang on to it, had to, again, get out of the throttle and lost a significant amount of time, is now over a second behind Van de Sant, but really, really close call.
Brophy coming up on 28 laps here on these tires. So if 30 laps is your window, he only has about 2 more laps before he needs to bring that thing to pit road.
And the sense of urgency in regards to tire saving has definitely picked up across the board this entire field, putting much more of an emphasis on doing that. I think especially not only because we're having less cars on the track, but because they've learned that we're seeing a lot less cars push that boundary, get too far up the track. You see there, even the 39 learned his lesson from that last time, kept that thing a lot lower after Brophy overtook for the lead. I think you're going to see less and less of that, at least until the last 20 laps or so. Jason Brophy headed down to the pits right now.
So 29 laps, essentially. He makes the call to come onto pit road.
And figure 30 laps a run being essentially the ceiling. Obviously, 29 laps here for Brophy. All you really needed to get to was lap 80. If this does go green and you've pitted any time after lap 80, you're good to go, but with every passing lap, that's less fuel you'll have to take at some point. Or like I mentioned, perhaps the strategy for that 37, you could even short pit, get fresh tires on that car sooner, and go make a charge to the front. It's going to be very interesting to see how some of these cars wait. Another car pitting here, I believe that's the 14 of Jamie Ritchie Price, right in front of the lead packs. You see them passing by.
He's that button. There we go. He's a meatball flag. Jamie.
What happened?
Oh. Got the air off of Roten. Bounced it off the fence off too. Turn 2, Calamity Corner claims another victim.
I mean, really, that's just the exits of the corners, even onto the short shoots all night long. It's the demise.
We talked about the brawl those two were having, Madeline and Jamie, for P20. Essentially, that whole run couldn't have been saving much tire doing so, and then once the dirty air was in play, absolutely nothing that 14 could do. That being said, somebody is doing. The 37 of Ryan Araki on an absolute charge. The freshest tires of anyone. Let's not forget, only 3 or 4 laps removed from pitting. This 37, all the speed in the world and all the incentive in the world to go get past that 39 car. Being trapped a lap down and passing the leader right here can change your race completely. This 37, theoretically, if it gets around Falkingham, Ryan Araki potentially could stay out and maybe even inherit the lead if there is a caution that comes out. And given we've had a car hit the wall on an average of every 5 laps so far, it's definitely not impossible.
Another Indiana native in the field is Noah Rocky. He's there to the inside. He'll make it
down
work.
on the curb.
Yeah. Gets it back the hard way.
Dangerous stuff, but went out and did it.
Ryan, a very, very long FTF veteran, one of the creators of FTF, in fact. And it would mean the absolute world for Ryan Araki to have a great day today. As you mentioned, Jacob, his home track. Someone that really, really had a lot of say in regards to getting this thing together. And winning one of the biggest events on the calendar could change the entire outcome of the season, essentially. As we see, I think the 39 peel off. And he'll not be alone. The 53 behind, Justin Malella, also diving down the pit road.
Couple of cars. 30 laps on the racetrack, decide to pit. Hawken going 31. Starting his 31st lap. Lichtenberg, it's been 30 since he was last on pit road. Your top 3, it's been 28 laps.
And I mean, pit road is going to be very busy. I mean, here, if not this next time by, then the next 2 laps at the very least. Again, kind of in the same spot we were last run, where some of these guys who have pitted already going to rejoin in front of the rest of the field, 1 car down, locking up the tires.
I can't believe Hawken did not speed. That was close, but no issue for the 099.
Talk about getting all of it. One difference from the last set of pit stops, too, by the way. Last time, a lot of those first cars to dive down into the pit road ended up coming out together in a pack. We're able to draft off of one another. Right now, the 44, a pretty big advantage over some of those other cars like Daniel Falkingham. Looks like a little bit of a 2-second gap. Brandon Hawken going to slot in even behind that. And Justin Malella, I think, has a 2-second gap or so that Brandon Hawken looks like he'll overtake him now as he gets up to speed. But none of those cars are going to have any of that aerodynamic help. You see the 44 right ahead of the 60 at Madeline Run. These cars eventually will all band back together. That's usually how it works here at Indianapolis. But for now, gonna incredibly not gain as much time on some of these cars that we've seen stay out a little longer, like that 13, the 96, and the 16, for instance.
Closing in on the halfway point here in the Rectangle 500. Just 4 laps away this time by. The top 3 will stay out for another lap. Brendan Lichtenberg from the 4th spot will take a trip to pit road. Ryan Hunter is in. Ashley Kolinix is in. But your top 5 continue to stay on the racetrack, pushing it as long as they can.
Really, I think the interesting part about these races that do have multiple rounds of green flag pit stops in them is these decisions that you see everybody make on what lap they pit, when they come down, really start to compound over the course of these runs. So, I mean, we saw it even earlier with how Robert Malechka had been mired through traffic, and as things continue to spread out, it makes these decisions even more important. You can see Musselman and Melillo side by side up ahead of race leader Akabueze right now.
That is 4th position. Got Ryan Hunter coming off the pit lane that's going to merge right in front of the leader.
And look at them all snake down to the bottom. They're trying to get every bit of draft they possibly can. With such close speed between a lot of these front runners today, every advantage is a big one.
Still staying out. It's been 33 laps now since your top 3 were on pit road.
And Jacob, I didn't think it was possible, but they could be playing an entirely different strategy altogether. As you mentioned before, quickly approaching halfway. If all these leaders actually can get 33, 34 laps on these runs, you might be able to eliminate a pit stop entirely. It's going to be a big challenge. You're going to have to save a lot of fuel over the course of the rest of the race, and you're going to need it to go green. But definitely within the realm of possibility. If they stay out another lap, it almost seems certain that that's going to be their call. And they do just that.
Yep. Next time by will be cross flags here at Indianapolis. Hamilton Akabueze out in front. He led the first lap. Could he lead at halfway and could even lead at the finish? Pick up his 2nd Triple Crown win on the year and his 4th win on the season. It's been a ridiculous start, especially on the ovals, for Hamilton Akabueze.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier where he was in points. I mean, has only been here for on pit lane.
Coming onto pit lane, Robert Malechka will take the lead. He will lead at halfway. But sometimes pit strategy is more important than leading at halfway.
Well, until you get the inevitable caution here at some point, right?
Well,
but we've seen crazier things happen, and Malechka staying out once again. This is what we saw out of him last green flag cycle as well. Was one of the last cars on to the pit lane. He and Philip Kraus, both with added flexibility, going to be coming down this time, both the 91 and 19.
And that's very much by design, Caleb. I think they're trying to keep in touch with those other 3. Having slipstream means the world, especially to cars trying to save fuel. If they want any hope of making it with one less stop, which appears to be the plan for the entire top 5 we just saw come down, they're going to need all the draft they can possibly get. Crossing the line here, they're going to only need 99 laps. You can do that in potentially 3 runs if you can get 33 out of all of them.
Could be done. Meanwhile, here come your soon-to-be race leaders, Brophy and Falkingham, once again side by side. Look at the gap that they've opened up here on Hamilton Akabueze. It's more than a second and a half. These top 2 have pulled away. But you have to remember, they're on anywhere from 5 to 10 lap older tires compared to that 13.
Ooh, Malechka merged all the way up to the wall, coming off pit road. It looks like Philip Kraus is going to do the same. Looks like AJ Musselman making an overtake down into turn 3. Lichtenberg might also be able to run this 91 car down. but they're going to have the freshest tires. They're going to have the most fuel and the most incentive to carve their way back up to the field, because right now, if this stays green, I think it's going to be a race amongst those 5 we've seen take pit stops, their last, or the least pit stops, I should say. It's all going to be about how they shake out amongst themselves, because despite the fact you can overtake, the third place car, the 4th place car, the 5th place car have definitely had a much harder time overtaking. Think earlier, Hamilton, Akabueze in 3rd, a majority of these first runs. Could that 13 have made a move? Perhaps, but passing 2 cars, very, very challenging. I think the only car we've seen do that tonight is potentially the 44 of Jason Brophy, who's right now in 2nd.
Going for the lead again.
Gets down to the inside, but I mean, again, I think you make a good point there, Kyle. I mean, even think to the real life side, how many times we've seen races come down to that where lap traffic plays a role in the end of the race, and second place on isn't able to generate any type of a run, and the leader's able to just sit in the draft of the lap car and win the race. So again, just with how these cars are designed, absolutely, I think something there. And even right now, you can see Akabueze struggling to get to the rear wing of Brophy.
Speaking of cars that aren't on the lead lap, we still do have quite a few out there. Madeline Roten 1 lap down, currently the only car 1 lap down. Matt Taylor still chugging away, P21 right now, 4 laps down. Still 2 better than where that 8 car started after the incident Matt found himself in. Jamie Ritchie Price got back out there after that contact, 6 laps down, and Mo Perry still trying to get out here, 13 laps down, but thankfully with the working right front suspension, and hoping for some better luck the rest of the way. With each passing lap, more and more cars start to run down these top 2. We talked about it before. Some of the oldest tires out of all of the leaders. You see the 13 already back on their bumper. The 96 running them down. Jacob Oster quickly approaching as well. After that, AJ Musselman might have a bit of a battle on his head, fighting off that 91, the 10, the 19. A lot of cars with a lot of speed and potentially even better tires right behind them.
Really impressive run from a few of these guys. I mean, obviously, you recognize a lot of the names at the front of the field, again, just from a points perspective. I mean, Balkingham, Brophy, Akabueze, Van de Sant, all these guys in the top 10 of the point standings in some of our regulars here. But looking back to some of the newer names, and Musselman, who hasn't made as many starts, running up in 7th. Strong run, and still anybody's race with 94 laps to go.
See, there very, very big gap between these first 2 lead packs. But that second pack has a lot of fast chargers. People with, now at this point, clean air and fresher tires. That 91, really no aerodynamic disadvantage, at least for the short term. Potentially in a lap or 2 might run these group down a little bit and then find themselves in dirty air. But right now, Malechka has every advantage in the world trying to lead that second group all the way back up here.
I want to look at lap times across the line here, but last time lost touch a little bit, still losing touch with Oster right now. I mean, Malechka's last lap was comparable to Van de Sant, but even then was slower than every single car in that top 5. Philip Kraus was the only one that was faster, and he's back, mired a little further back, going to make a dive to the inside on AJ Musselman for the 7th position. In turn 3, able to complete that pass through the chute. We'll now just have a lap car of Roten in front, but not going in a positive direction here this second pack, and even Oster's really trying to hang on and not lose touch with the 96 of Van de Sant out in front of him.
Caleb, that could be that fuel saving playing out. I thought they might try to chase those leaders down just in case we got a caution. P6, 7, 8, so on and so forth. Doesn't seem too far back, but with how bad the dirty air has been, if you get a caution, that could very much derail things. But if it goes green, they are racing amongst themselves. It might be that they're racing amongst themselves right now as well as fuel strategy. You want to be the first car on that group that can actually make it. Right now, that appears to be Robert Malechka in the 91, with Phil Kraus trying to chase him down. But like I said, if this has a caution at any point that might be a bit unfortunate, you're going to see it become an absolute land rush for the start of the field. A lot of people going for it. Some of that aggression you might have seen in the first 15 laps of this race might come back tenfold. Man, the 96 again, real close to that wall. Van de Sant leaving absolutely nothing on the track today. Again, every bit of speed out of that car possible.
Yeah, but don't want to be doing that too often again. I mean, we've already seen him make a little bit of contact with that outside wall, and one or two more and could be the end of the day. He's done a fantastic job. I mean, you can see it there on the lower third, but has been firmly within this top 10 all day long. Interesting here from Kraus and Malechka as they've started the slingshot strategy that Brophy and Falkingham have been operating out of that front pack. Malechka dropped back a little bit to the front wing of the 19, and we'll see it down the backstretch here. Kraus might have fallen back a little far, but there they go.
Did you see this lap time from Kraus last time by? A half second faster than everybody else on the racetrack. 41.0. Everybody else is in the 41.5s.
And Jacob, they might have heard us because they've put on the afterburners. They are trying to run down that lead pack right now. With as many cars we've seen run into trouble, a lot of cars even that have been pretty under control all day long, just overstepping that boundary. It is imperative they get up here in case a caution comes out. And I think you're seeing that play out right now. They've carved it down to 3 seconds, about a second and a half behind the 16 of Jacob Oster. It's very doable, and they've put a noticeable gap behind them as well. AJ Musselman, Brandon Lichtenberg, and Justin Malello all very close in proximity behind. That being said, though, still about 2 seconds, 2.5 seconds now behind those two. Another thing to keep track of as well. We were within 90 laps to go, which means some of those cars we've seen on the earlier end of the pit cycle, Jason Brophy, Daniel Falkingham in specific, theoretically, they could pit anytime they want to now. I wonder if they're going to be working together in regard to strategy. It would benefit them both at this point to get down at the same time and protect the advantage they have. Right now, it's still up in the air. We don't know which of these two strategy choices are going to play out correctly. Obviously, cautions and things like just lap traffic in general are going to change that completely as the rest of this race unfolds. But right now, they have to be friends. They can't be enemies quite yet, because if their strategy is going to prevail, it's going to take both of them working together to maintain any gap they have. That gap now to the 91 and 19, 2.5 seconds. And you see the 44 filling down pit road. All
It's
by
only
himself, though,
been
Jacob.
only been 24 laps.
From here, definitely a two-stop race. I believe that's Josh Chim behind, also adopting this strategy. So they're going to get, as far as pit stops remaining concerned, on the same call as the 91 and 19, but look how far back they're going to be. They're already behind them now. Still an entire pit stop and trip down pit road to go. One thing's for certain, though, after some of the races we've seen, I am not counting out that 13 in regards to the pit strategy either. Hamilton, very, very patient thus far, riding right behind that 39 and 44, getting as much fuel saved as possible. This will be the telltale sign right here. Does the 13 or 96 or even the 16 stay out longer than we expect? Theoretically, you'd need to get to about 66 laps to go to feel comfortable. That's still a little, almost 20 laps away from right now, 19 to be specific. So, based on current trajectory, it's going to be very, very hard to make that all up in one run. Potentially, they can get it down to maybe 68, 69 laps to go. That might be manageable as well, but given how quick the 91 and 19 are running them down, I'm not sure how viable that strategy might be. Ooh. Very close to the attenuator there, and that's only going to pick up as we go. Once these cars start diving as low as they can off of turn 4, they're going to be mere inches away from that wall, and honestly, all it takes is one slip up, one mental error, It's easy to forget. This is 500 miles. Mental precision. You have to get right down below that white line every single corner, 4 times a lap. That's 800 times this race. We've only had 4 cautions thus far, pardon me. So, therefore, these drivers have been grinding for quite a while now. We've had multiple sets of green flag pit stops. It is so incredibly easy to lose focus.
And especially when we're racing like this, all this back and forth and dodging and weaving, really getting in trouble. And you make a good point. I mean, just the exhaustion factor at the end of these races, not only from the physical perspective, but from the mind as well. And especially if you're Hamilton Akabueze, you've just been staring at the rear wing of Daniel Falkingham for what feels like the last 60 laps. I mean, you just have to have that laser focus, like you said. See more cars coming down on the pit lane. Falkingham, one of them here.
Oh, man, and he really locked it up.
Sideways the whole way down.
Malillo in as well. You talked about the fact that we've only had 3 cautions so far, Kyle. You also have to keep in mind that that last caution was at lap 28. So we haven't had a caution in nearly 100 laps to this point.
And not to mention, too, you're doing all this math in your head. These drivers coming up with fuel strategies on the fly, trying to predict what the cars around them are going to do. It is such a mental chess game. I compare this very much to a lot of the super speedway racing you see with the Cup cars, for instance. It's all about the decisions you make. Obviously, this track has been challenging. We've seen many cars overstep that boundary and hit the wall, but the choices you make as far as pit strategy and where you choose to overtake the cars around you make all the difference in the world. And especially with these leaders, like you mentioned, that 39 and 44 have been kind of in their own world strategy-wise. They've been overtaking one another. Thus far, it's helped them keep a lot of that track position, but in doing so, they might have lost track of what everybody else is doing. The rest of this field trying to stretch this run as far as they can, and this is going to be interesting because the 96, the 13, and the 16, if they can stretch this anywhere past 70 to go, like I was saying, that's going to be a tremendous advantage for them. They've very clearly been saving fuel this run, but it's very hard to do. This track, you're on the throttle essentially 95% of the lap all the way around this place. You're going to lift a little on every corner entry just to keep the car planted. Draft does help, but I'm not sure it helps that much.
By the way, just to drift further back, we talked about Malechka and Kraus using the draft. That gap has opened up now to 0.8 of a second, close to a second.
Again, I mean, in time here certainly helps with everybody blending up ahead of him. Justin Malillo side by side with Oster up ahead of Malechka. Definitely an opportunity here to shake things up, though. Here comes Musselman down the pit lane, and again, really, really aggressive on the pit entry, but got it down to 60.
And I think that's going to commit that 54 AJ Musselman. I don't think there's any chance you can make it on just 2 runs from here, unfortunately. 79 laps to go. That would take fuel saving. We've not seen anything close to that today. So, going to be an uphill battle at not having the track position we've seen that 44 and that 39 have. It's going to take a caution for AJ Musselman to salvage this day, most likely.
Again, not entirely out of the question. I mean, again, I feel like so many times we get into these grooves and then all it takes is that one mistake, that one slip up. And we've seen it so many times. We've been pretty lucky for the most part that it's only been single car incidents, but one car tags the wall in front of another, and just like that, it completely flips this race on its head. You got to play the cards you're dealt, though. Put yourself in the best position right now, so that's why you're seeing some of these alternate strategies.
We have lost a race-winning contender. Philip Kraus has blinked out from the session. He was running in 5th, and he is gone.
Devastating news. That's going to not only hurt him, that's going to hurt the 91 of Robert Malechka, too. That was the only car in close proximity on a similar strategy. Going to have none of that drafting help he had before, especially once these 3 ahead of him peel off. Might have some of those lap cars close ahead too to help.
Being told he hit the wall. Let's take a look.
Down into one. Definitely the trouble area we've seen all day long. This 19 going to push all the way to the wall.
Yeah.
And he
Very
just
end of that
all
safety
that forward
barrier.
it.
And again, that's exactly what we were talking about, but continue to whittle down the true contenders for this race here in 76 laps. I mean, 3/4 of the way through it at the end of this lap.
What?
I can't do math.
No.
3/4 through the final, or 1/4 through the final. All
Oh,
right,
my.
next.
All right.
Get me out of here. FTF math back at it.
Here at FTF, we bring you fast. We do not bring you math. That's the third or fourth little time like that tonight.
Hey, trust me, this has been a running thing with me and Jacob for years. Is the numbers don't put them in front of us.
Brandon Hawkins on pit road. That's the pit tower. There we go.
And with each domino that
Yeah,
falls,
thank you, Seth.
every car that peels off, essentially anywhere before 70 to go, are essentially committing to that same strategy. And I don't think these cars are going to have a chance to compete unless they get that coveted caution. It feels like we would have got one by now with how many cars have hit the wall, but so far everybody able to keep it pointed the right direction, at least away from the rest of the cars at the very least. We did see the 054 slightly slide through the grass earlier, but able to keep it out of the way and keep us under green.
Shout out to a good 1/2 or 5/8 Joe. Awesome. We got people blinking on the racetrack. It's AJ Musselman. His internet connection is doo-doo right now, and he is off the racetrack more than he's on it. As you can see, as we ride on board with the Josh Chin machine, and you'll see the ghost behind him, Sam Darnold mode, activate. Now somehow he's in front of him? What?
Well,
Get off
sometimes
the
way this
track!
work, you'll get that draft. They might not see you, but you'll still see them. I think AJ took advantage of that. Snuck past and got a position. Gave it back there into turn one, thankfully. But that's our leader right behind, too. Hamilton Akabueze. It's not unfathomable to think that potentially this internet issue could potentially catch one of these leaders off guard and cost them. He pulls to the bottom. Hamilton follow up for draft.
Yeah, it's risky.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you gotta calm down, or at least I wonder if there's got to be an internet warning coming for him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
he's been, like you said, off the track more this last lap than on it, and
you
it's
go.
just gonna
Now
dip
pit.
down onto the pit lane. That's an unfortunate break for Musselman, who was already kind of in a bind with the way strategies unfurled for him, but the internet really gonna put a hamper on it. 72 laps to go here from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
And now it's fine the entire way down pit road. Yeah, well, I say
Cool.
that. All right, well, Ryan Hunter's on pit road, so is Ashley Kolonix. But for your race leaders, you only got to go about 2 more laps or so until you're in the window again to come back to pit road.
And while we have a moment, let's give a call to Ashley Kolonix. Had a little bit of an unfortunate luck at some of the big ovals we've seen this season. Thus far, though, this 222, keeping it pointed the right direction, probably has at least an outside chance of making it on the same pit strategy as we think the leaders are going to be going for here. So, shaping up to potentially be a very, very solid day for Ashley. And Jacob, like you mentioned, to steal Clint Boyer's phrase, the pay window's about to open, because about a lap and a half from now, I think it's fathomable to believe without too much trouble, these cars could potentially save enough fuel to only do this on one more stop after the one that's about to happen. Obviously, the further you can go, the better. That's less fuel you have to save later. I'm astounded the 39 has made it this, or the 13, pardon me, has made it thus far. You're going to stay out again by the looks of it. With those cars ahead, that's definitely going to help too. Think of all the slipstream down these long straightaways. Jacob, I said it yesterday, you could do your taxes down these straightaways. They feel like they last forever, and you can save a tremendous amount of fuel versus being the leader.
It's a good line, is it not?
I know, I appreciate that. That's a good line.
You got time to think about your entire life and everything you're going to do in the next set of corners. We saw it play out in qualifying, some people reconsidering what they might do, getting down to the apron, staying above the white line. That same thing is playing out right now, but what are you going to do with your tire wear? How are you going to save enough fuel? With 70 to go, coming to be 69 at the line right now, I think you're going to start seeing these cars dive down. Hamilton not going to dive down this time, though. What incredible fuel saving. Every time Hamilton does something like this, it amazes me.
Just crazy. Yeah, he has the speed to just spank everybody, and then he's able to save fuel better than everybody else, so we can cut out a pit stop.
I mean, that's why he has 3 wins and 6 starts so far this year. And again, he's missed 2 races and is still right in the thick of the championship battle just from how good he's been when he's here. Doing a fantastic job so far tonight. Has opened up a good advantage over second place Van de Sant.
And not only that, if they can get the 66 to go, I feel like that's a very comfortable number. 33 laps, very, very doable. You don't really have to push that fuel tank too far. As it stands, if this 13, 96, or 16 for them, and or really anyone who hasn't pitted, comes down 34 laps each time, a little bit less fun, but you definitely can do that. You see the 13 get a big run there down the back straightaway. I am curious how long they're going to push it, because you don't want to push it too far. The worst thing that can happen to you right now is if you run out of fuel, especially if you're a good distance away from that pit road. Couple takers this time. Mo Perry, Jacob Oster, one of our top 5 runners coming down this time.
The only one. There he is.
I gotta think it's gonna get busy here, though. I mean, again, 33 laps for most of your leaders, even with the draft, is...
They made it 35 last time. At least Akaboise and Van de Sant did. Malechka only made it about 33, but...
Another point to consider,
Here he comes.
All the runs thus far, they've been saving fuel the entirety of the run.
Whoa! Van de Sant about wrecked it! Oh, I thought that was race over right there. Is Akaboise, Van de Sant, and Malechka all pit at the same time. Coming to 66 laps to go. They hit their number right on the nose.
To touch on that point again, though, you have to think the last 10, 15 laps of this race, they're going to be absolutely brawling for track position. There's going to be absolutely no fuel saving going on. You want to ideally get that all done by the halfway point of that last run of the race. So about 15, 20 to go. Look for these drivers to save really aggressive at the start of, actually the entirety of this run and the start of the upcoming run afterwards. As they'll maintain track position off the pits. The 96, though, very, very close in proximity to that 13. You talked about it earlier, that pit road entry, that's as close as it gets. That was near disaster for the 96. Able to take a positive from it, though, and maintain pretty close to the 13 and potentially have draft the entirety of this run.
And you get a good launch on exit as well. They both rejoin 3rd and 4th on the racetrack. Oster takes 5th. Malechka to 6th. Daniel Falkingham and Jason Brophy are out in front of this field. They're on a different strategy. They're going to have to come to pit road 2 more times if we stay green all the way to the end. 65 laps to go here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Rectangle 500. We'll have the finish for you next here on FTF. 60 laps to go in the Rectangle 500 here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jacob Pitts, Caleb Hoffman, and Kyle Riley with you. 59 laps to go this time by. Daniel Falkingham is your leader. Hamilton Akabueze has made his way up into second spot without Jason Brophy coming to pit road. Brophy has fallen back to fifth after being passed by Van de Sant and Oster while we were away as well. Just a couple of lap cars standing between Daniel Falkingham and the dominant car of the day, Hamilton Akabueze.
And Falkingham finally out of traffic here, getting around Art Reimer up ahead. Has a little bit of a gap. He's got 14th and 15th. There's Spencer Ray behind Art Reimer, and then you can see the black, yellow, and pink of Akabueze a little further back, slingshotting here between Reimer and Falkingham.
Is Falkingham in? No, I know who you are. Brophy in. He'll still have to make one more stop to make it to the end.
And the goal for the 39 and the 44, at this point, as soon as you get those tires, go as fast as humanly possible. We already see it now. The 13 able to take position from Brophy. Brophy, I think, cycled back to 5th before the pit stop there. If you can stay up ahead of those cars for as long as possible, of course, it is all contingent on that caution that may or may not come out. But putting yourself in the best possible position for the rest of this race means going as fast as possible. Pitting with 58 to go. Absolutely no reason to save fuel or tires, really. Just go for broke. Get it as far up as you possibly can. And if it plays out right, if the whole entire lead pack jumps down the pit road late in this race, they can find themselves at the front when it's all said and done.
They managed to catch a caution at the right time as well. That could really put them in the driver's seat for this thing as Falkingham continues to go back and forth here with the lap car Art Reimer. There's the lap car of Spencer Ray between himself and second Hamilton Akabueze. Further back, Josh Chin and Brendan Lichtenberg continue going at it. That's for the 6th position. They're on some different strategies as well, not necessarily a winning bunch of strats, as here comes Chin onto pit road. He's pretty much on the same cycle with, Falkingham. So he'll have to come in one more time on top of this pit stop. Falkingham's looking like he's going to have to stop twice. But the rest of our top 5 or even our top 7 could be on the edge of making it on one more stop. It's going to be a stretch for Lichtenberg and Hawking. Hawking, the best bet, though. Akabueze, Van de Sant, Oster, and Malechka, all pitting about 10 laps ago.
And that 10 of Lichtenberg lost contact with the rest of the leaders. Right now, not benefiting from any of that slipstream on these long straightaways. Might fall back into the clutches of Hawken and Malella, which will also end up helping potentially some of their fuel mileage. Speaking of, I can't believe how long this 39 car stayed out there. It might be a little too late to actually fix it and get back on the strategy of the cars around him. But Falkingham not giving up, putting himself in what he hopes to be the best possible position to catch a caution. It wouldn't shock me to see his 39 pit either this lap or the next.
Stay out one more. This will be his 28th lap. Staying out. Akabueze under attack. That's Josh Chin going by.
Up the hill, though, for Chin. He's going to be able to hold on to it. That has been treacherous all day long. Now, you really don't want to be up there if you can help it.
Chin, of course, just pitted, so he's on those fresher tires. Brian Nowrocki, black flag, speeding on exit. He's going to have to come back onto pit road. He was just on with Justin Malillo, his teammate. Having a good run going.
It's devastating news for
Nowrocki. Yep.
Jacob, you mentioned it earlier, one of our hometown drivers from Indianapolis, or from Indiana, I should say.
Man, Josh Chin.
Things are dicey.
Woo.
Well, now Falkingham's the one up the hill, gonna have to lift, bring it back down. That's gonna cost him a lot of speed. Akabueze, Van de Sant, potentially even Oster gonna make some run here, but look at the slipstream he got, though.
Yeah, and they got Sabelski up the road as well that you got to keep track of. So Josh Chan right onto the rear wing of the 85. Falkingham, your leader, right in the middle of this. Sabelski dipping back down. Had a black flag to serve, is why.
Yep.
Been a lot of that going around lately. Whew. Once again, that 96. Nobody has scared me more this race than that 96. Van de Sant, every corner exit, especially in turns 1 and 3 recently, really pushing it up. That safer barrier does eventually end, but it's pretty far around the corner, and as soon as it does, you can definitely bet on this 96 going all the way up to that outside wall. Probably going to do more of the same here. Keeps it a little further away. Probably scared himself after that last one, but man, eventually this will go wrong, potentially. We see the 39 ducking on pit road this time, though.
Gives Hamilton Akabueze the lead with 51 laps to go. As now we approach that 3/4 mark. Look how tight the pack is now. Akabueze, Van de Sant, Oster, nose to tail. Malechka not too far behind.
And we kept track of it the last time. There's definitely a number these drivers have in mind. Ideally, if you don't want to have to save fuel in the last run, you want to get this down to 30 laps to go before you make your final pit stop. That's still going to be very challenging. It might take some really aggressive fuel saving by all of these drivers right now, and quite frankly, I'm not sure if that's the game plan. This late in the stage, you definitely want to have the track position to boot, so you might see them drive a little bit tougher, but if they can somehow get down to 30 to go, they'll be in great shape. 33 might be a little more realistic, however. They also have the benefit of that 53.
The magic numbers from Race Control. 166, 167, 168. In those 3 laps, you can stop. Should be able to make it to the end if we stay green. Brandon Hawkins on
Oster
the
had
pit lane.
Yeah, Oster had a big run there and had to check up on the front straightaway.
Well, and that's the point,
up
right?
behind Ray.
You're just saving fuel. You're not trying to push. You're not really fighting for position right now. You're just trying to get to this last pit stop so you can brawl it out amongst yourselves once we get to the end of this race.
And despite the fact that it's probably not their primary goal, lifting a lot earlier from the start of that corner is going to help them avoid any mistake potentially with dirty air, and it's also going to keep that right front from burning up. Once again, a very hot day. These cars are definitely experiencing some pretty significant tire wear, and that's why you're seeing some of the speed differential here. Some of these cars, as soon as they pit, that 44 or the 39, for instance, 2 cars have pitted pretty recently, running incredible lap times relative to the leaders right now. Eventually, this will balance out, and then, of course, go back into their favor once these leaders make their final pit stop, which should be sometime in the next 20 laps.
See another weather check. Track temp still at a $119. Air temp still in the mid-80s. The wind has died down a little bit. There goes Hawken on those fresh tires, passing Oster, passing Van de Sant. Melillo has joined this party as well. He's another car on fresher tires.
Spencer just outside the top 10. Hanging on to the lead lap, though, right in front of these guys.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch Hawken, who's fresh off the pit lane. Again, one of those cars that really has to push it, doesn't have the luxury of being hopefully good to the end, is the thinking behind the strategy of the top 3 right now. And so Hawken's just full go, and you're not seeing the apprehensiveness to take the runs. He's getting everything he can out of that car right now and just full push to hopefully try to make up the difference. He and Spencer Ray swapping positions back and forth. And Hawken was able to get that lap back. He'll be the first car, or the next car rather, for Akabueze here. Would be just 12 cars on the lead lap.
The question is, will Akabueze get there and get back by him before he comes onto pit road? It'll be about 10 laps till he makes the trip.
Justin Malolo in the 53 on a very similar mission, also in this pack with the leaders. Right now, the first car 1 lap down to 13th. A big tire advantage, though, on these leaders who are also, of course, saving fuel. I'm going to think this 53 is going to push the envelope. You're going to see Justin start to make some pretty daring moves, potentially, to get back in front of these leaders. Up to the high side as soon as we talk about him.
Mom, I'm on TV.
And for anybody that's curious why Justin might be doing this, we talk about it time and time again. The dirty air is incredible here at Indianapolis. This track, of course, not a lot of banking in the corner to catch you. You need all that front downforce you can get, at least through the corners. And Justin's going to use that to his advantage, get right by the 16 of Oster. Only 2 cars remain to pass ahead of him where he can get back on the lead lap.
Gap starting to break apart a little bit here. Akabuezi out in front by half a second over Van de Sant. He's staying right in tow with the lap cars. And again, I thought Van de Sant got the wall there off of turn 1.
No one has gotten closer all day, Jacob. But to his credit, Alexander Van de Sant, I don't think that right side has a single mark on it, aside from the one time it did very briefly kiss the wall. And the car seemed fine ever since. So despite the fact pushing the envelope very, very far, this 96 still pointed the right direction. All the suspension components seem to be working just fine. And this 96 is going to have a real chance of winning this race when it comes down to the wire here.
Looking for his first win this season. Of course, Akabuezi, a 3-time winner this year.
Just behind this, that 14 car hit the wall as well. Towards the bottom of the backstretch now. Definitely some right side damage. Doesn't look like there's going to be a meatball flag, but that car cannot be driving correctly.
All right, Jamie, what'd you do?
Saw Jamie get turn 2 a little bit earlier.
Yeah, looks like this happened off of 1. He's 8 laps down after he caught the wall a little earlier. He is going into 1.
Got that dirty air.
Ooh.
And that's significant contact. That's nothing to laugh at all. I can't believe this car doesn't seem to be more beat up than it is. Of course, going to let some of these leaders, as well as Justin, some of the other cars who've pitted recently by. Being 8 laps down, really no reason not to. But thankfully, looks like Jamie's going to be able to keep it out there. This car still mostly up the pace, but it can't be driving good.
No. At this point, he's hoping that a couple of cars drop out of the race so he can pick some spots up. Right now in the 20th position. The next closest car in front of him, Matt Taylor, who is 5 laps down. There was a point where we thought Taylor was going to get back onto the lead lap. Unfortunately, the caution stopped coming for him. He was slowly getting his laps back after being involved in that first crash.
And even if it started now, Jacob, there's a lot of other cars trapped a lap down. Obviously, via pit strategy, the 53, the 90, or the 76, both going to probably get their lap back pretty soon, as well as the 222. Art Reimer might be on the cusp of getting the lap back too in that 49 car. And then 2 cars we mentioned earlier, the 37, Ryan Naraki, and the 85 of Brian Zabelski, both having a black flag. Those cars are both 2 laps down, as well as the 60 of Madeline Roten. Matt Taylor, you talked about it, chugging away all day long with the damaged car. Still 5 laps down right now, hoping for potentially a little more attrition as it comes down to the wire here. And then, of course, Jamie Ritchie Price and Mo Perry, 2 cars we've seen hit the wall a little bit today.
Ryan Hunter on the pit lane. He's in the ballpark, but definitely not close enough. He's going to have to make one more stop. Pitting here with 40 laps to go. Meanwhile, for the rest of your leaders that have not stopped, there are 4 of them. All 4 of them think they can make it to the end on just one more visit down pit road. Coming to 39 laps to go. They're about 5 laps away from hitting the magic number.
And all this lap traffic, incredibly beneficial. None of these cars having to deal with clean air and all that drag that comes with it down these straightaways. That's going to make their task a lot easier. I think that's going to open the door to some of these drivers being much more aggressive in this last stint. You might see them start battling for the lead immediately. That's going to increase even more now that the 97 pulls right out ahead of Brandon Hawken. They're very close into turn 3, but it looks like everybody's going to keep it under control.
And yeah, the chatter over the radio for the last few laps. I mean, everybody that's not on this, I guess we'll call it primary strategy of these top 4 who are flirting with being good to the end. I mean, they are just absolutely begging for some type of caution to put them back in this thing. I mean, Jason Brophy, Justin Malillo, we're all going at it over the radio, but again, ticking closer to, again, right around that 35, 34 to go mark.
There's a hot dog wrapper over in turn number 3 for the caution.
Yeah, they were saying pool noodles on the racetrack. I mean, just all sorts of things.
I don't know if anybody saw in the tower, there's actually bricks on the front straightaway. We got to pick those up.
Yeah.
Also, to update that 54, we saw earlier AJ Musselman very much struggling with internet. Unfortunately, it did not recover in that 54. AJ Musselman officially out of this race. Going to finish probably 22nd unless somebody else gets back out there unexpectedly.
Well, I mean, hey, it's another spot for Matt Taylor, who's, again, just been chugging out there. So.
Yep. Well, Taylor passed him about 30 laps ago, but yeah, it is indeed a spot. I mean, right now, Matt Taylor, after being junked 7 laps in, is in the top 20. Not a perfect day, but it's better than 32nd, which is where he was.
I wouldn't even say like a remotely good day, but has been logging laps, and inside the top 20 is all you can ask for.
Especially for a driver we talked about so far up in the point standings. Every position matters here. And for all we know, there could be 3 or 4 cautions in our future, especially once we get those last pit stops underway. You're going to see these drivers start making moves they haven't made in about 150 laps. That's not really the freshest thing on their minds. And that's not even including any of the mental fatigue from just 500 miles of absolute battle.
Madeline Roten tagged the wall in the south end of the speedway in the north, or the chute. Has damage on that race car right now. Malillo is apprehensive about it, to say the least.
Flag, though. Oh boy.
Really trying to force his way through, man.
Madeline, keep it out of the wall. You can.
I mean, that 60 car is damaged, so I mean, mighty impressive, but down on speed for sure.
Frustration just bubbling over on that 53. Justin, we talked about it. His goal right now is to get up to the lead lap. It wasn't too improbable before, but now he's just going to have to ride as long as he can out there. These leaders, we're expecting him to pit very, very soon in the next 2 to 4 laps. So he will inherit the lead lap pretty soon, but it's going to take a lucky break. And we haven't seen one of those for a lot of these drivers in almost 150 laps at this point. You have to think some of that hope is fading.
Guess which 2 are back together fighting for position again. Brophy and Falkingham. Like a cat on Velcro, these 2 have been just about all race long. Problem is, at this point, it does not look like either one of them is going to get to victory lane. They both need to come back down to pit road before this race is over. They are 30 seconds behind the race leaders, so if they pit at the same time as the race leaders, they're not going to get anywhere. So they're going to stay out as long as possible and perhaps hope for a caution. By the way, 33 laps to go. The window is thrust open to get to the end of the Rectangle 500. When will our 4 race leaders make the call to visit pit lane for one last time?
And guys, that 099 of Brandon Hawken just had an absolute moment out of turn 1. That car jumped free. Hawken able to keep it pointed the right direction. That could have been catastrophic right in front of all the leaders.
I mean, again, it's not going to be any easy going. Once
Oster's
you make this pit stop. All right.
Party of 1.
I like this from Jacob Oster, though. I mean, don't let the cars in front of you. You're good to the end. From this point, don't let them dictate what you're doing. Just have to wait and see where it cycles out, Kyle.
When you're all by yourself entering and exiting the pits, you can be a little bit more aggressive. You don't have to worry about running someone over or getting run over. Oster able to get exactly to the mark.
Malechka's in.
Once again, that one car.
Akaboise and Van de Sant by themselves. We'll see how this shakes out with the draft, because if those two decide to pit together, they could have a little bit of advantage, and we've seen how close they have been coming on and off pit road already tonight. The only bright side I see here is you pit later, less time you have to spend in the box to gas it up. But that gives the other drivers a little more time on those tires to really let her eat. Here they come.
Yep.
Akaboise and Van de Sant onto pit road for the final time. It's the money stop at Indianapolis. Neither driver really locked him up. Great job getting onto pit road. We'll see how it all shakes out. 30 to go as they cross the yard of bricks. Brophy and Falkingham will cycle around for the lead, but both will have to make a stop to pit lane.
As for the two that already pitted in that lead pack, Oster did come out ahead of Malechka, but they are pretty close. These two headed back out onto the racetrack now. It looks like they might cycle just behind those two, but they are going to have fresher tires the remainder of this run. They might even be able to hold them off, actually.
And here's Oster. Around the outside. He'll get by Van de Sant. He'll get by Akaboise, or at least be alongside him. Malechka's right there in the path as well. Oster cycles out for the lead. Malechka would take provisional second, coming at 29 to go.
And absolutely none of these drivers have any ounce of clean air right now. It's going to come down to racecraft, putting these cars in the right positions and getting as much draft as you can down the straightaway. Look at all these cars right ahead of them, some of which are on much older tires.
Brophy's in. He makes his last pit stop. Hands the lead over to Daniel Falkingham. Then it's Josh Chin and Brandon Lichtenberg. These are two cars that are on the lead lap, second and third. They also have to make one last trip to the pit lane. The lap car of Spencer Ray between Lichtenberg and Oster, the first car on the racetrack that can make it to the checkered flag.
And again, I mean, you mentioned what a difference that the tenths make. It's not a lot in the moment on pit road, but it is of note that both Oster and Malechka were faster in the box and on pit lane than Akaboise and Van de Sant. And that 1 or 2 tenths is the difference right now in where they're positioned on the racetrack. Oster doing a great job getting to the outside of the lap car Spencer Ray. Battle for position up ahead. They're trying to get there at least with Lichtenberg, who is in third right now. Malechka going to dive down to the inside. Here comes Van de Sant.
Oh, this is huge. Kicking Akaboise back to fourth. Or at least going to try to. They'll stay side by side through the chute into turn 4. Making a really big hole for Akaboise to dig out of. Josh Chin heads to pit road. Just 2 cars left on the other strategy. Here's Akaboise now underneath the lap car of Spencer Ray.
And it's hard to verbalize how difficult a position that third team was in. Not only was he on the high side of a side-by-side battle, there was dirty air. They were side-by-side right ahead. Absolutely every disadvantage in the book. Hamilton not only able to keep that car pointed the right direction and out of the wall, able to hold off the position and then pass Spencer Ray down the next straightaway. Incredible.
Oster with a half-second margin over Malechka. He's got Lichtenberg right in front of him, as well as the lap car of Art Reimer. He gets to the outside of Art. Will pass by him, no problem. Lichtenberg ahead, will have to stop. 26 laps to go.
That 96 had a bit of a moment in 3 and 4, trying to navigate around the 6 of Spencer Ray. Lost a little bit of contact with that 13. Definitely not out of the draft range, but less than ideal circumstances right now.
Malechka gets by without a problem. Here comes Akaboise to the inside. He's going to have to sit behind Art for at least another corner. And they both kind of run that outside line. Akaboise didn't get to the bottom. They'll do it here off of 4.
Looks like Art might have been trying to let that 13 by. They both had the same idea, though, to run the high side, and that's going to cost, honestly, everybody from this part of the pack on back a little bit of time. You see Malechka and Oster pull away.
He's going to bring Van de Sant back into the mix here. If he can get by Art, he can. Akaboise able to scoot away a little bit. That gap about 0.4 of a second. Oster is right in the tire tracks, though, of Lichtenberg for second. If he can add another car between himself and Malechka, really going to be a difference maker here. Coming to 24 to go.
And speaking of Lichtenberg and Daniel Falkenham for that matter, they're trying to stretch this as far as humanly possible. You see the intensity start to pick up right now in all of these battles. If one of these battles go wrong, those two are going to be the biggest benefactors of anybody. Not only will they have track position, but most likely they're going to drag a lot of these lead lap cars, if not all of them, down to the pit road with them. That could be a race-saving decision if they can stay up here as long as possible.
Buckingham probably going to have to pit within the next 3 laps. 27 laps since he was last on pit road. The advantage for Lichtenberg, he can go another 10. So if a late caution were to come out, Lichtenberg can stay out a little bit more and perhaps reap the reward. Even if he's not the race leader. If he's stuck in traffic, he's probably going to bring everybody that is pitted to pit road anyway for fresh tires. Here comes Akabueze all over the rear wing of Malechka going to turn number 1. Van de Sant's back in this mix as well.
And again, with 23 laps to go, you've already made your final stop, and that's going to make the room that you give everybody. There's way less give and take at this point right now, and it's just going to get worse and worse as we get closer to that checkered flag. It'll be 22 laps at the line, and everybody just in a holding pattern right now behind this 10 car of Brendan Lichtenberg, who stays out and inherits the lead. But here comes Malechka down to the inside. Big block from the 10 car. Malechka has to get out of the throttle, and that gives it right back to Oster.
Chaos at the front here at Indianapolis. The battle for the race lead is on, Kyle.
And that 96 almost tagged the wall again. One of these times, it's not going to be as fortunate, especially as this intensity picks up. Look at this pack of cars all on top of one another. These guys don't even know what clean air is at this point. Unless you're that 10 car or maybe even the 16, it is insanely difficult to even go around this corner and carry the speed you need to maintain the gap. The fact they're doing that side by side at times and passing one another, this is one of the most talented groups of drivers battling for this win. We are going to see an absolute show with just 21 laps to go here at Indianapolis.
Van de Sant to the outside of Akabueze, makes the pass for third. Make it 4th. Huge run from Van de Sant into turn number 1.
And Akabueze had to get out of the throttle. It was a checkup from Malechka, and Van de Sant took the opportunity. Here comes Akabueze back down to the inside, right on the rear wing of Robert Malechka. Cannot complete the pass. Van de Sant in 4th.
Incredible to see how much grip that outside line has. Lichtenberg is in. Oster to the lead. 20 to go. Here comes Akabueze again. How about Malechka looking for the top spot in 1? He's got it.
And again for third there, Akabueze just cannot get around Van de Sant. And do you sit in the draft? Because right now, Robert Malechka and Jacob Oster slingshotting each other right now for the lead. Oster back down to the inside. Don't want to let them get any sort of distance on you this late in the race. Van de Sant out of the throttle, going to give a window to Akabueze through turn 4.
Here comes that 13 to the inside, side by side, but he's forced to get back in line. You have the lap car, Brandon Hawken, right there in the mix as well. He's trying to get his lap back the hard way. I'm not sure any of the leaders, though, are willing to let him go. Malechka to the lead, and Van de Sant tried to get to second, but Oster shut the door on him.
And that 96 and 13 are heating up their right front tire. There's been 3 or 4 occasions for them both where they've lost the nose completely. A couple laps ago, that 13 was headed right for the wall, able to save it. That is going to make it very, very hard for them to make this distance up and then eventually overtake. We see a big move here. Malechka goes back to second, and Oster, your leader. But that 91, as well as the 96, going to have a tremendous run down the straightaway. Just watch from this camera. The 91 shot out of a cannon. Look at this speed. A big slingshot. Might even get to the line first here. He will.
Van de Sant has a run, but he gets out of it. Now here comes Akabueze to the inside. No dice. Up the hill he goes. Just did not have the grip. You almost wonder, guys, if Oster and Malechka have a coordinated effort here that, you know what? Let's just trade back and forth as much as we can. We know it's fast. It worked early in the race. Might as well keep it going. and try and keep these other two behind us so we can fight it amongst ourselves. Another big run from Akabueze down to the 3. Can't get it to work.
And there's just too much push right now, and Oster's doing a fantastic job at staying right in front of Van de Sant and keeping that momentum up high. Here comes Oster back down to the inside. Van de Sant gonna go 3 wide across the line with 17 laps to go. Big move, and Van de Sant gonna take the lead away in 1.
Malechka got out of the gas. He could smell the blood in the water, but give Alex Van de Sant, the Atlanta native, the lead with 17 laps to go in the Rectangle 500. Oster with the run. Malechka not done yet, and Akabueze at this point I think realizes, you know what, we might wreck if we keep racing like this. Malechka back to the lead.
Akabueze is trying everything. Caught in that dirty air for several laps in a row. Look at this move to the high side. Almost got up alongside the 16 there. Gonna look low, but he's gonna be in that dirty air of the 96 as he makes a move for the lead. All the top 4 cars under a blanket. You can't ask for anything better than this after 500 miles.
I thought Oster was going to knock the safer barrier down off turn number 1. He had to lift, though, off of 2. Akabueze takes 3rd. Alex Van de Sant's the leader of the race, but here comes the run from Malechka to the inside into turn number 3, and the 91 back out in front.
And lots of bold moves coming from this top 4. And you can't guarantee that it's going to stick every time, especially as we continue to get closer to this checkered flag. Van de Sant back down to the inside, has put himself in a fantastic position. Akabueze there in 3rd, and you got to think that he is just hoping for an opportunity here. He's been sitting behind the 2 leaders, it feels like, all day long. And with 15 laps to go, wants an opportunity to change that luck. Oster's fallen back as well. Had to get out of the throttle, remember, when Akabueze got around him. And that's, I mean, almost half a second between he and 3rd place Akabueze.
I wonder if maybe he's just trying to cool his tires off a little bit to put together one last run as we hit 14 laps to go. The sand in the hourglass starting to run thin, and the drivers can sense it. Just 14 laps to go here at Indianapolis. And man, 500 miles just comes down to this.
And we're about to have another variable, gentlemen. Look at those 3 lapped cars slightly up in front of them in the distance. I think before this is all said and done, especially if these leaders continue this level of aggression, we might see them run this group down, and then at that point, everybody's in dirty air, and who knows what's going to happen. We've already seen them go 2 and 3 wide for the lead down into turn 1. Just wait until one of these leaders has to inevitably lift. You see the 97 also behind there, Ryan Hunter. These 2 right here, I believe that's Art Reimer and Spencer Ray, side by side down into turn 1. Not quite getting as much of the slipstream help as they're probably hoping for. They're really just battling as it stands right now. And these leaders are starting to run them down.
Van de Sant out in front by half a second with 12.5 laps to go. Here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, you ride out the back of your race leader.
And Malechka, you notice this gap is up to almost half a second. It's because he had to get out of the throttle in turn 2 just a couple of laps ago. And again, that little blip of the throttle was enough for Van de Sant to open up this gap. And we'll see if he can catch the slipstream of Ryan Hunter up in front of him. How far can he take this advantage?
Right now, this 96 is putting down incredible lap times. A 49 last time at the line. That's 0.2 quicker than Malechka. That's 0.3 quicker than Hamilton and Jacob Oster. Oh, Oster hits the wall in the back heading into turn 3. Gonna be some right side damage on that 16. Terrible luck for him. He might even lose the draft as a result.
Half a second back. No meatball flag. Still running hard. Coming to 10 laps to go. But he's going to need quite a fierce battle ahead of him to get back into the mix. He's still just clinging to the draft right now.
You see there, that's the grip lost. You saw him fighting that wheel. Take a look at your screen right now. Cranking his hardest again to the left. Has to correct a little bit off the corner. That might not seem like much, but every time you do that, you break so much momentum. And that right now is a premium. If he wants any chance of running down the 13 and the rest of the leaders, he's going to have to find a way to minimize that. Using every bit of racetrack down into 3. keeping it a little steady off the corner now. But it might be a little too late, unfortunately. Already about nearly a 3/4 of a second behind the rest of these leaders.
11 laps to go. Alex Van de Sant continues to lead.
And they have caught these lapped cars. The 97, Ryan Hunter right ahead of them. Art Reimer and Spencer Ray not too far ahead of that. And all that advantage that Van de Sant had when he had any clean air is gone. All of these cars going to be right under a blanket within a few laps here, most likely. And just think about the runs they're going to get. The amount of times they will be having opportunities to slingshot one another down the front stretch. It would not shock me one bit if they find a way to go 2 and 3 wide yet again in the near future. And don't rule out that 16 yet, because after his trouble, Jacob Oster running them back down actually made up a little time on all the leaders this most recent lap.
I mean, how could you rule him out? I mean, he won this race 1 year ago from the last starting position on the grid, right? And he's going to have an opportunity here. Like you said, Van de Sant has caught Ryan Hunter, who's going to just get out of the way. But then you have Art Reimer and Spencer Ray up ahead of him, who are side by side. Malechka has completely decimated that gap that Van de Sant had built up. It was almost, a 3/4 of a second. But now, right back to that rear wing. Akabueze's right here. Again, I mean, Jacob Oster's going to have an opportunity here. It's just 9 laps to go. When do you time that run? And it's got to come soon.
And Caleb, unlike that 97 who's not really battling for position right now, these two ahead of the leaders are. Those cars are in a fierce battle for position on the track right now, both 1 lap down. They might be less likely to let these leaders by as peacefully, and that could be an entire game changer. That being said, if I'm Alexander Van de Sant 996, I'm screaming on the radio, asking the two of them to get out of the way. Robert Malechka, though, loves what he sees. Ooh, not right now, though. Big push off turn 3. Going to lose some time. Hamilton Akabueze going to be right on his rear wing off turn 4.
The top 4 in this race, with 7 laps to go, is the same exact top 4 when this race finished a year ago, as Van de Sant goes 3 wide on the lap traffic. A huge move to put both Reimer and Ray between himself and second spot. It was Oster that won this race a year ago. Malechka second, Akabueze third, and Van de Sant in fourth. Here they are in nearly reverse order. With 6.5 laps to go, Van de Sant looking for his first win this season in the ModernRacingPrince.com Open Wheel Series. He is just 6 laps away.
These will be the 6 longest laps of his life, though.
Yeah, the task got so much taller when Van de Sant was able to complete that move. Reimer and Ray's in the wall. Malechka has to make evasive maneuvers, and now just Art Reimer separating first and second, but Malechka again losing time. He needs this draft off of Art Reimer. We'll see if he takes the run going into turn 3. He has to. And Alexander Van de Sant has to protect a half a second lead.
How about Brophy, by the way? No, I'm getting my names mixed up. Never mind. I confused Brophy and Oster. I don't know how. Good time to do that, right? 5 to go. But look at the run Malechka got down the front straightaway. He was 7/10 back off turn 2. And now he's just 3 car lengths away from the race lead, heading into 1.
That 16, Jacob Oster got caught up in a little bit of that lap traffic. You see him a little bit in the distance, still behind Spencer Ray and Art Reimer. He's going to need a really fortunate break. He's going to need Robert Malechka to start making an aggressive move for the lead, and he's going to need Hamilton Akabueze to join them if he wants any chance of running these guys down. 4 to go at the line this time by, and if this 91 gets anything like the run the last lap, he's going to be right on the rear wing. Take a look at this on board. What a speed differential. Running them down, you can just see it visually every second. Wow, and up to the high side.
Just trying to set him up, get as much clean air as he can. 4 laps to go.
Down the backstretch, and if you're Robert Malechka right now, you can't afford to not take these runs. But you got to also time it at the correct spot. You're going to have the opportunity here on Alexander Van de Sant. But when do you make the move? Because you don't want to make it too early and give Van de Sant the time to attack you back. We'll see. Coming to 3 laps to go, right in the slipstream of Alexander Van de Sande. He'll take it right here down to the inside into turn number 1. Give the lead to Robert Malechka.
Malechka to the front. Van de Sande will have time to close him in. And do not forget about Hamilton Akabueze in third. He is running to win the Go Sim Racing Triple Crown. Has to win Michigan. Check. Has to win here at Indianapolis. 3 laps away, but he's in third. Van de Sande back to the front. And if he wins tonight, he would have to win at Auto Club Speedway at the end of the year. Our last 500 miler. 2 laps to go. 5 miles left in Indianapolis. Here's Malechka to the inside. Side by side for the lead. Malechka to the point.
And if you thought this race was a chess match before, just think about now. With these runs down the straightaway, you have to make the perfectly timed move. Do you make that off turn 2 on the white flag, or do you wait until turn 4? We've seen drivers get insane runs to the line. We see another right here, the 96 to the bottom of Malechka. He's going to take the lead down into turn 3.
Van de Sande, clear, takes the lead away. Will Malechka make the move on the front straightaway or wait until the last lap? He goes high side in turn 4, trying to set him up as best he can. Snake draft down the front straightaway. White flag in the wind in Indianapolis. Here comes Malechka to the inside. Side by side for the lead in the wind. He has the lead.
And Robert Malechka on Alexander Van de Sande. On the north side of the racetrack through turns 1 and 2. Van de Sande up out of the groove. Is that enough for Malechka down the back straightaway? He's opened up this gap and now is under attack from the third team of Hamilton Akabueze down into turn 3 for the final time.
Akabueze drives it in deep. He has second. He can't clear him. That'll help Malechka off of turn number 4. Connor Harrington, Justin Malillo, Jacob Oster, and now Robert Malechka down the front straightaway. He will win the 4th Rectangle 500. Alex Van de Sande will come up a car length short in second. Akabueze third. DeWitt, Michigan's Robert Malechka has won at Indianapolis.
What a show. These drivers putting it all on the line. A last 20-lap stint of an absolute brawl. They had to march their way through several lapped cars who were battling amongst themselves. And when it was all said and done, Robert Malechka in the 91, your winner here today at Indianapolis. Incredible racing.
We had 3 cautions in the first 30 laps and went green all the way to the end. And what a battle. What a chess match. And it came down to a difference of less than 1/10 between Robert Malechka and Alexander Van de Sande.
What a finish.
Ooh.
Oh, terrible crash. Oh, Malillo's into the stands. He's into the stands. He ballparked it.
Oh, a little too close to home for me.
All right, now don't burn it down across the bricks or Mr. Penske's going to get mad.
He just wanted to look at the crowd. A hard-fought victory, 500 miles. He's getting the cool off. It's a warm day. A very, very tough battle to the win.
Who
Goes
put
4
this
in the
here?
front.
Yeah, get that out of here.
There we go. All right.
There he is.
Robert Malechka, your winner tonight here at Indianapolis in a tremendous battle in the last couple of laps. Alex Van de Sande second, Hamilton Akabueze third. Your point leader coming into tonight, Jacob Oster fourth. Daniel Falkingham on that other strategy finishes fifth. Then it's Brophy, Lichtenberg, Josh Chin, Brandon Hawken, your first car lap down in ninth, and Ryan Hunter rounds out the top 10, Caleb.
2023 winner Justin Malillo comes home 11th. Ashley Kolnick's in the 12th position. Art Reimer 13th. Spencer Ray, who we both saw in that final battle. Ryan Naraki in 15th. Jason Wallet 16th. Brian Sabelski 17th. Madeline Roten in 18th. Matt Taylor 19th. Jamie Ritchie Price makes up 20, Kyle.
In 21st, Morpheus Perry having a very, very uphill battle today. Hit the wall a couple times, able to bring it home in a somewhat solid position. AJ Musselman, who had that internet trouble earlier today. Philip Kraus, what a heartbreak for that 19. Up front most of the day, hit the wall just slightly. Corey Vervinkt in 24th. Chris Wetz 25th. Robert P. Lowry, 26th today. Josh Rimmer was part of that humongous crash with Nate Stewart in 27th and 28th. Jaden Hopp also a part of that accident in 29th. And Jacob Colfrail going to make finish 30th and round out our top 30.
Please hold. Trying to... I'm hitting all the wrong buttons.
Sometime this year, we'll get the final,
Yeah, well,
final two finishers.
Trying to page our drivers to get in the Discord. Deitch and Pressey rounding out your field.
What a show from start to finish, though. Nothing but chaos to begin. Intense strategy battles all throughout the mid portion of this race during that long green flag run. These drivers absolutely fought for every position all day long. Give a call to the rest of those drivers battling for the top 5. I believe Daniel Falkingham finished 5th when it was all said and done. But those 3, I watched them as those leaders were battling. Sometimes they were 3 wide headed into corners. That just shows you how much every position matters and how hard fought every result was tonight.
My only guess is that Robert Malechka has run up into the grandstands, a la Joseph Newgarden. Here he is. Robert Malechka, you've won the Rectangle 500 at Indianapolis. A wild battle between you and Alex Van der Sant in the last 10 laps. Take us through it all from your driver's seat.
Yeah, I wasn't really. I went pretty aggressive with the fuel there. Took a few clicks out just to get track position, and it really paid off being able to jump Alex and Hamilton there. And for about 10 laps there, I was sweating pretty good. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it if it was just us 4. Or I think I would have made it, but just not in the position that I wanted to be for the win. I think I went with like 20 to go past the Lapper and Jacob. And we got some draft from those lap cars, and was able to make the fuel number with that. And then it was just a matter of when do I go, right? And I knew turn 2 was really bad the whole race. You couldn't, if you left the bottom, you were losing probably 2-3 tenths. And made the pass on Alex with I think 1 to go, and just ran a lane up off of 2, and it just killed any momentum he had. So I was able to keep him and Hamilton side by side through the back straight as someone blows up next to me. And with keeping them side by side, I knew kind of exiting 3, I knew I had a pretty easy win there coming to the line. So thanks to all the guys for hanging out in our Discord, working really well together, and glad to get a win.
Able to save enough fuel to get to the end of this race. It helps when we go nearly 170 laps caution free.
It does. I mean, let me tell you, I really thought that this race was going to be pretty boring, and I still think it was kind of boring. But we had way less wrecks than I thought. So to be perfectly honest with you, I brought 3 beers with me, and I've only been able to pop 1. So now we have 2 more for the rest of the night, and have a good time.
What, no milk?
I'll have milk. Just gotta finish my Oberon first.
There you go. All right. Robert Malechka, your winner tonight here at Indianapolis. Man, congratulations. Go celebrate.
Yep. Thanks, Jacob. Take care.
Robert Malechka, your winner at Indianapolis, the 4th different Rectangle 500 champion. Alex Van der Sant was so close to coming up with his first win. Unfortunately, just 1 lap short. He's with Caleb.
Yeah, and here with Alexander Van der Sant, who was less than a 10th away from winning the Rectangle 500. And Alex, I'll be honest, I thought when you made that 3-wide pass and put the lap cars behind you as that buffer that it was going to be over. Just to talk us through how those last few laps could have played out.
Man, yeah, I was hopeful that would work, but I figured those guys would be able to get around the lappers. But they could at least maybe like burn their tires, and I could cool mine down in clean air, and that could help me at the end. But yeah, it just wasn't quite enough, unfortunately. But yeah, lap traffic was a huge factor the whole race. It's what really made our strategy work with the fuel save. But happy with the run overall, though. It was a great race, great finish, and yes, disappointed to miss out on the win, but second is good.
And I mean, probably don't want to think big picture right now with what this event is and what this race is, but is a good day for you in the points. You'll be back in the top 10. How do you look at the next few races going forward for you in Spa and then the Motegi doubleheader in a few weeks?
Yeah, I just kind of got to play it by ear. I've missed a bunch this year, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll see. I think I'm also missing a few more just with like scheduling's been crazy, but yeah, it's a fun league, a good group of people. So it's yeah, I always look forward to jumping in when I can.
Alexander Van de Sant comes up just short, being able to drink milk here in the Rectangle 500. Appreciate your time and congrats on a podium, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
We'll see him on the Cup side here, hopefully. And we'll go back to you, Jacob.
And we'll turn now to our third place finisher in Hamilton Akabueze, one of the fastest cars here, Kyle Riley, and just came up short.
Well, Hamilton, you gave it all you could in that last run. Made some very, very daring moves as it came down to the line, but some of that dirty air was just a little bit too difficult to overcome. Tell me, how did that play out from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If I was able to, I think just that I came out behind them kind of sucked. Like, I mean, if I had known how it would go, I would have taken less fuel and come out in front a little bit more. But yeah, once I got to third there, like maybe if the lap cars weren't there in the first place and I have a bit more time, like something can happen. But just too much, too little, too late, kind of. So yeah, still a solid race, but could have been a better result, I guess.
Another part of the race as well, you were one of the later cars to actually adopt the fuel saving strategy. Tell me, how were you able to save that fuel in some of those longer runs once it looked like it was going to go green the rest of the way?
I mean, pretty good. Like just having lappers like come out in front of us or like pass us, that really helped. Like if I'm just stuck there in the lead, obviously Alex wasn't gonna pass me. No one's gonna pass me, so it would have been bad. But just like the guys with lappers on fresh tire was able to pull us along. Yeah, most of them were pretty, just helpful. So, yeah.
Well, Hamilton, a great qualifying effort, a great run all day long. Congratulations on the podium, and thank you for your time.
Yep, thanks.
There you have it. Hearing from the top three finishers tonight here at Indianapolis. And, well, we certainly had a lot to talk about tonight. And, man, those last 10, 15 laps were incredible.
You could say that again, Jacob. Some of the best racing we've seen all season long. Hey, Caleb, you get to see this about as much as I do, and then even more so with the other series FTF has. This is some of the best racing I've ever seen in FTF, even backdating to the Energies in 3 days. Just an incredible show, start to bottom, top to fin, and just outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to the talent that comes out and makes these races what they are, right? This would not be possible if we did not have the strength of the field that we do to see such incredible racing week in, week out. But I mean, again, not only is it an incredible battle on the racetrack, but, you know, again, big picture, looking at some of the points as well. Robert Malechka not only picking up the win, but will pick up the points lead coming out of Indy here. And so he has now a 12-point advantage over Jacob Oster, Hamilton Akabueze up into the third spot in points as well. So kind of all four of those guys that were in the conversation for the race win at the end, all in the points battle as well. So again, lots of good battles, and really, really impressed with this field today. You can see that's what the points are looking like for the full season right now with Malechka on top. But again, just incredible racing all around, and it was so fun to watch the chess match unplay, and I'm so glad we didn't have any complications there at the end like we were kind of speculating that we would see. But we go almost 170 laps green to the end, and Robert Malechka absolutely plays his cards right and beats everyone to get the win here in the fourth annual Rectangle 500.
Robert Malechka, the big winner tonight, winner on the racetrack, winner in the point standings, and we'll be back to do it all again next week at a completely different racetrack, just like the real IndyCar schedule. We're going to Spa, so pack your bags, bring your passports, bring your real ID, because you'll need it as we head to Spa-Francorchamps, or whatever you're supposed to call that racetrack, next week. That will be at a rare 10 p.m. Eastern start time for us instead of our traditional 9 p.m. start. And then, we'll go oval racing again in a couple of weeks when we do that doubleheader, road course and oval at Twin Ring Motegi. Robert Malechka is a Rectangle 500 champion. He'll try and get his second win on the season when we hit the track next week at Spa. My thanks to Kyle Riley and Caleb Hoffman for... Yep, okay.
Yeah.
The words have stopped flowing. My thanks to Caleb Hoffman and Kyle Riley, there we go, for hanging with me tonight. But in the end, it's Robert Malechka, your winner at Indianapolis, and he goes home a champion here at Indy in the Rectangle 500. We will see you next week.